Chapter 501. 800 slay 10,000. Barbarian's courage shattered _3. No more than 1,000 people? Yuan Chengzhao squinted his eyes. Could it be a spur-of-the-moment decision to lead the scouts on a raid? Isn't this a huge joke? Darya Cheek coldly said. Isn't this Chen known for his cunning and resourcefulness? How could he also behave so recklessly? I still find it strange. Yuan Chengzhao said softly. Could he possibly think that he alone can match 1,000 troops? That's also somewhat preposterous. Perfect timing. Tangur picked up a wolf fang club. I have long wanted to fight this person, Darya Cheek said. A year ago, this man was merely at the Meridian Passage. Even if he's incredibly talented, at best he's just entered the mysterious phenomenon technique. Even assuming he's proficient, isn't this courting death? Seeing is believing. Yuan Chengzhao, holding a weapon, said, order the army to quickly form encirclement. I will join the battle personally. Boom, boom, boom. In the midst of heavy snow, the sound of drums shook the heavens. The densely packed barbarian cavalry, like a tide, came from all directions. Really only 700 or 800 people? Very well. Tangur, dragging his wolf fang club, climbed up to the cloud tower, looking out over a battlefield more than a mile away. He repeatedly confirmed that the Shang people who had come to raid the camp numbered merely 700 or 800 and had already been trapped by heavy forces. Since you dared to come, there's no need to leave. Buzz. The voice had not yet faded. Suddenly, an arrow enveloped in surging gangqi streaked through the air, beneath which seemed to coil an azure dragon. From here to Chun, there was more than a mile. How did he shoot it from there? And this arrow, it actually carried gangqi. Luckily, Chun Sanxi's archery was world-famous. In the heart of Tangur, he was already prepared. Waves of gangqi dispersed from his body, concentrating on the wolf fang club, and he fiercely smashed it down. Boom! Two fierce bursts of gangqi collided, causing a huge surge of air. The wooden cloud tower could hardly withstand it and immediately collapsed. Tangur fell heavily from tens of feet in the air, creating a huge depression under his feet. It was said that this man had strange arrows that could carry gangqi, and it was indeed true. However, in terms of strength, it was probably just as they had predicted, an entry level to the profound image realm. The killing intent in Tangur surged, and without riding a warhorse, he crossed the thousands of troops with merely a few leaps, landing in the center of the battlefield, only 100 steps away from the trapped white robe. Two more arrows flew towards him. He continued swiping the wolf fang club to deflect them, closing the distance once more. Only 50 steps left to confront the white robe. Killing this one man was worth millions in military achievements. Thinking thus, on Tangur's arms, veins violently bulged as he intertwined his muscles. Having pushed his breathing skill to the limit, the 8 extraordinary meridians circulated within his body. He drew in the chaotic energies between heaven and earth, transformed them into pure gangqi, and then regurgitated it, layering it upon the wolf fang club until it metamorphosed into a massive and ferocious beast. In the eyes of the barbarian soldiers nearby, their general seemed to be wielding not a weapon, but a giant bear gang over 10 feet tall. The bear gang materialized amid a raging blizzard, closely following Tangur. It leaped dozens of feet into the air and with a force as heavy as Mount Tai plummeting, it ferociously crashed towards the ground, its momentum startling and its power boundless. Profound image realm, gangqi takes form. Right from the start it was an all-out strike. In midair, the image of Chun Sanxi, along with the white horse beneath him being crushed into a pulp, had already emerged in Tangur's mind. His face even showed a bloody excitement, but soon his facial features stiffened. On the ground, Chun Sanxi, mounted on the white horse, had already drawn his bow and nocked an arrow. Yet his fingers which tightly pulled the bowstring hesitated to release. Bursts of gangqi were transmitted from his arm to the big bow and from the ghost vein wood. It flowed and gathered on the arrowhead, building up continuously. The gangqi on the arrowhead grew stronger and more majestic until it reached the critical limit that the arrow could no longer withstand, and then it burst open to reveal a pair of wings. Suddenly, wings formed from congregated gangqi flared open, stirring up flying snowflakes. The biting cold ice and snow instantaneously melted away, and under the distorted air, a flame-like divine beast emerged in its full glory. That was Vermilion Bird. In an instant, everyone seemed to hear a clear and resounding phoenix cry. Vermilion bird form. Gangqi takes form? Is he also at the great success of the profound image realm? How could it happen so fast? It wasn't that Tangur had underestimated his opponent, but rather, what seemed impossible had indeed occurred. An unprecedented cultivation speed. He didn't fall into disarray but clenched his teeth and twisted his facial features, pushing his limits further and causing the form of the bear gang around him to become even more substantial. It roared as it pounced fiercely. Buzz! The bowstring thundered like lightning. The vermilion bird melted the snow, transforming into a streak of blue smoke that burst forth. Bear gang. Vermilion bird. The two collided in midair a dozen feet off the ground. All that was heard was a gut-shaking boom. Waves of force spread out from the point of impact, startlingly clearing the sky and land amid the widespread snowstorm. When the winds calmed and the waves settled, the bear gang had long vanished. In the deep pit on the ground, Tung Gur lay straight, his entire right half rotten away, a horrifying sight of mangled flesh. With a lifeless expression, he watched the snowflakes that began to fall once more, and after struggling through 2 breaths, his head tilted, and he died on the spot. One arrow killed the profound image. Tengia. Several hundred steps away, Yuan Chengzhao and another hurried to the scene, and upon witnessing what had happened, they abruptly reined in their horses, daring not to move forward even half a step. Both were dumbfounded, unable to comprehend the sight for a long time. Chapter 502. 800 slay 10,000. Barbarians' courage shattered _4. What happened? The two of them had been following right behind. It only took a few breaths. Tengye's men just disappeared? With one arrow. An arrow killed a warrior at the great success of the Xuanxiang realm. Even though Tengur was the physically weakest among the three, even though he had just advanced, he was genuinely at the great success of the Xuanxiang realm, only one step away from entering the martial saint realm. Just like that, died so effortlessly. The two of them could no longer waste time wondering why the White Robes realm had soared to the great success of the Xuanxiang realm in such a short time. They were even more puzzled. Even if you are at the great success of the Xuanxiang realm, you shouldn't be able to overpower another martial artist of the same realm, right? Prime Minister. Daryachik hesitated with fear in his voice. What should we do? Surround and kill. Yuan Chengzhao quickly regained confidence as he watched his 20,000 troops gather. A mere 800 daring to attack us? Today, forget about you being at the great success of the Xuanxiang realm. Even if you were a martial saint, you will die here. Attack. Whoever kills Chun Sansi will be made a marquis. At that moment, the 800 Bailiang light cavalry entered the melee. But they did not recklessly charge. Instead, they first struck from the outer flanks and then retreated, using guerrilla tactics to kill the enemy. With Chu Shixiang, who was at the great success of the Xuanxiang realm, personally leading the charge, they would not suffer significant losses unless heavily surrounded. There was another more important reason. It was Chun Sansi alone, who attracted the majority of attention. The attention of 20,000 troops. Alone, he was trapped within heavy encirclement. Chun Sansi looked around. Everywhere except the ice and snow, there were only enemy troops. With no more reservations in his heart and within a breath, all heterogeneous chi within his body transformed into the 4 symbols heavenly gang, and the weapon in his hand switched from the big bow to the Li Quan spear. Kill him! Kill! Countless dao, javelins, swords, and spears were coming from every direction. However, just when their weapons were about an inch away from the White Robe's body, they could no longer advance even slightly. Invisibly, it's as if several Kuei dragons were coiling around the white-robed white horse, with several fierce tigers biting at their weapons, followed by a terrifying force that blasted dozens of people flying. Those of insufficient realm died on the spot with blood flowing from all facial orifices. Protective Gong Qi. Confinement formation. High realm martial artists are almost impossible to kill before exhausting their strength. Thus, various formations have been designed with the purpose of depleting the enemy general's strength while minimizing one's own casualties. When the depletion is sufficient, one's own general would more effortlessly slay the enemy general. Boom! 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 One after another, 7 feet tall rectangular mystical iron shields were embedded in the snowy ground, forming copper walls and iron barriers in the 4 cardinal directions, slowly advancing to reduce the size of the encirclement around the white-robed white horse. The ones holding the mystical iron shields included 7 or 8 who were of the Meridian Passage realm serving as assistant generals, and the rest at the least were of the Huajin realm, all high-ranking officers. They hid behind the shields, sticking out long weapons wrapped in forceful energy through the gaps to attack, consuming the enemy bit by bit in this manner. Behind them, even more high-level officers waited to sub in, determined to trap this man to death. Upon reaching the hill, Chu Shixiang and the 800 light cavalry had witnessed this scene firsthand. General! Sir! General Chu! Zhao Kong shouted fiercely. We can't go on like this anymore. With this tactic, we are not in much danger, but you alone are in peril, sir. Quickly give the order for us to charge back. We 800 men. Guerrilla fighting on the outskirts is the best option, Chu Shixiang said solemnly. Once we are surrounded, if they send another general to entangle me, we won't last long before our entire army is wiped out. Then let our entire army be wiped out. Subin raised his weapon and shouted. And don't forget, the Lord has promised to capture Prime Minister Yuan alive. We can certainly do it. If we don't keep up, we might hold him back. Well said. Brothers, charge straight at their formation. Stop, Chu Shixiang rebuked. Wait a bit longer. General Chu, I also think we can't wait any longer. Xia Tsong said with clenched fists. Charge directly at their formation, otherwise, under the confinement formation again. He hadn't even finished speaking. He suddenly stiffened. They saw, ahead, from within the confinement formation, within the walls of copper and iron. Suddenly, there was a deafening boom. Boom! It seemed as if thunder exploded from deep within the earth, akin to hills in the great desert collapsing. The ground shook, the sky seemed to fall, and amid the stormy turmoil, countless barbarian soldiers flew into the sky. The blast of air cleared the heavy snow, revealing the truth. Only to see, in Chan Sansi's hands, the Li Quan spear, which was entirely made of mystical iron and immeasurably hard. Yet before their eyes, it miraculously transformed into a long dragon, the azure dragon roaring amidst the snow and wind, weaving through the thousands of troops. Under the writhing Gang Chi, pieces of ruptured armor scattered, limbs and body parts thrown into the air. Blood and bodies mixed in the blast, tossed halfway into the sky before crashing down like hail, releasing loud clattering sounds, leaving behind only corpses wherever the white-robed white horse passed. Blocking a chariot. This was the best description the soldiers of the Hungza army could imagine. Even though it was just a white horse, it seemed like a mountainous mystical iron war chariot, whereas the vast numbers of enemies, seemingly sharp, were like the brittle arms of a mantis, easily crushed into dust. Chapter 503, 800 slay 10,000. The barbarians' courage shatters _5. Within the span of just a tea break, barbarians had died, 1,000 strong, 1,000 men. Most crucially, the white robe had not yet exhausted his strength. Where does he get this endless Gang Chi from? Upon learning of the sudden attack, Yuan Chengzhao didn't panic. Upon learning it was Chun Sansi who had come, he did not hurry. Even upon seeing Tung Guer killed with a single arrow, he maintained his calm. It was only when over 1,000 men had been killed with no signs of Gang Chi exhaustion that both Yuan Chengzhao trembled, beginning to sweat profusely amidst the falling snow, their warhorses losing control several times. One man slain over 1,000, against the comparison of 20,000, seemingly not many, but in reality, he brought the grand army to the brink of collapse. Because, in the eyes of the barbarian warriors, what they were facing was no longer human, but a god of slaughter, an invincible god of slaughter. Watching their soldiers gradually enveloped by fear, on the verge of a grand rout, the two Yuan Chengzhao had no choice but to go to the front themselves, steeling themselves and charging at the white robe. Prime Minister! After all, he has killed over 1,000 men. Even an immortal should have exhausted a great deal of mana by now. If we stabilize our formation and have our troops wear him down further, then we can strike from both sides and take him down together. You're right. Crack! Yuan Chengzhao's broadsword fell, directly executing several subordinates showing signs of retreat, all the while loudly shouting, "Whoever brings me Chan Sansi's finger will be made a marquis, but anyone who dares to retreat a step, no matter man or woman, old or young, from their tribe, will be demoted to slaves." With the two of them pressuring the formation, the situation finally stabilized. The horse! Stop his horse! Yes. Many realized that the white robe's unstoppable momentum was hugely related to the precious horse beneath him. With the spear technique so brave and the horse so swift, they naturally could not stop him. Soon, under command, soldiers brought iron tribulus and horse refusing stakes from the camp, laying them across the charge path, and the stakes were raised with horse-cutting spears waiting, intending to kill the white horse first, then capture the white robe. Iron tribulus was an irregular sharp trap made purely of metal. Horse refusing stake were tall wooden fences covered in spikes, with soldiers hiding behind them, holding their spears high, with an attack range of over a zhang in height. However, just as he was about to collide with the countless traps, Chun Sansi leaped into the air, several zhang high, and raised the long spear high behind him. Under the concentration of Gang Chi, the snowflakes were drawn in, gaining shape from the influence of Gang Chi. The entire long spear transformed from an azure dragon into a killing god, the white tiger. Hiss! The warhorse neighed. The white swan horse leaped forward as if capable of flying, completely unaffected by the traps, catching its master in midair and then descending from the sky with the white tiger. Roar! For a moment, the people on the ground could not distinguish whether it was the sound of the spear or the roar of the tiger, only seeing shockwaves rolling beneath, with countless men thrown into the sky, flesh flying and blood splashing. This leap spanned dozens of zhang. By the time they landed again, they had already reached in front of Yuan Chengzhao and his companion. Prime Minister! Be careful! Dari Achi's giant axe swung down, like a celestial wolf descending, but as soon as it met the white tiger, it instantly crumbled away. Then the man himself was blown backwards under the tremendous force. Buzz! Chun Sansi did not give him a chance to get up and come back, and after gathering Gang Chi, he hurled the Li Quan spear like a ranged weapon, transforming into an azure dragon amidst the blizzard. The strike, rainbow through the sun, both reaching great success in the mysterious phenomenon, yet there was a gap. Dari Achi was significantly stronger than Tung Guer. His mysterious phenomenon great success had long reached perfection. In his exchange with the white robe, he was only— the spear arrived in an instant. Dari Achi, who had just summoned more Gang Chi, could not withstand the force of the azure dragon and was pierced through the heart on the spot, nailed dead in the snowfield, with the true dragon gang wreaking havoc within his body, completely damaging his meridians and all internal organs, cutting off his life force. Another general had died. Yuan Chengzhao did not simply watch. As his opponent launched the spear, he delivered a broadsword strike bearing the force of a myriad June towards his opponent's face. Ridiculously, The enemy discarded even his weapon to kill de Riachi. With renewed confidence, Yuan Chengzhao's blade gang was as ferocious as a lion. Clang! Zhang Yu unsheathed. Black tortoise form. Suppress. The divine beast reappeared, and the majestic lion was driven away. Yuan Chengzhao could not see his opponent's sword-drawing motion, only glimpsing the flash of the sword light. He hurriedly blocked, only to feel a chill on his exposed shoulder as his entire right arm, along with the broadsword, flew away, tumbling into a snow pit. Ah! Despite the agony of the severed limb, he still did not give up resisting, and with his left fist, he struck again only to break it as well. Both mysterious phenomena, yet they were no match for this man in a single exchange. Chan Sansi took arrows from the arrow bag, in place of the mystic iron chains, the bowstring sounding like thunder, accurately piercing through each of Yuan Chengzhao's acupoints, leaving him like a hedgehog, devoid of fighting strength within a short time, then grabbed him by the neck and lifted. Will you not surrender to great dashing? Prime Minister! Prime Minister? Astride the Blood River, atop the Corpse Mountain, 20,000 barbarian soldiers witnessed this scene unfold. A lone rider slaughtering 1,000 troops, in the midst of a vast army, slaying 3 generals in succession. 3 generals. All the generals. If they were still human, no, even bloodthirsty beasts would feel instinctive fear, their hearts void of the will to fight, their hands clutching weapons trembling. Chapter 504. 800 slay 10,000. The barbarian's courage shatters _6.
No surrender.
However, the blood-soaked Yuan, his voice hoarse with exertion, roared, "Don't worry about my life or death. You are not to surrender, you may retreat, retreat. They only have 800 men. You can escape back to the nearest tribe. If he dies, so be it. How could he let 20,000 men simply become slaves to the Shang people? As long as he, the Prime Minister, does not cooperate, 800 men cannot possibly make 20,000 surrender." Chen Sansi certainly understood this principle. Back at Hilagwan, 3,000 had surrendered tens of thousands. All thanks to Fan Shuzhen's cooperation. Unexpectedly, this Prime Minister still had some backbone. He couldn't be bothered to argue anymore, simply throwing him to the ground with force, and then, with a rearing of his horse and a raise of his spear, he shouted loud as a mighty bell, as if a deity had descended from the skies, striking awe into the hearts. Those who do not surrender shall be killed without mercy.
Wagen va.
One must understand strategic objectives. This northern campaign into the Great Desert aimed to annihilate the barbarians' living forces, not to occupy land. The vast desert, except for the area around the Agate River which could be used for raising horses, other areas were not worth the upkeep for dashing, so the focus had to be on annihilating the enemy. The barbarians looked at each other, hesitating. But in the end, they chose to retreat, not surrender. The Prime Minister was right. The Shang people only had 800 men. If they couldn't fight them off, couldn't they still run away? They just needed to return to their own tribes and live as they had before. If they became captives, it wouldn't be the same. Flee quickly. Retreat. Under the command of several assistant generals, the 20,000-strong army turned their horses and headed in the direction of the nearest tribe. Good escape, good escape. The severely injured Yuan Chengzhao revealed a grim smile. As long as we, men of the heavenly clan, are still alive, we can always return and seize all your Shang people's land, drink all your Shang people's blood. No expression could be read on Chan Sansi's face. These people, if they were willing to surrender, could have spared themselves. Dashing too would have less trouble on its hands. But if they were not willing, then they had no choice but kill. Kill until they were willing. The barbarians didn't care, barely maintaining formation as they fled toward the nearest tribe with a martial saint. The 800 Hongzha cavalry could only chase after them, unable to stop an army set on fleeing. Clang! Time flew by in a flash. Chan Sansi pulled his long spear out of the body of Daria Chik, and then disappeared from Yuan Chengzhao's view. When he reappeared, it was just him with his spear, blocking the way of thousands of soldiers. I've said. In the heavy snow, Chan Sansi's voice echoed again. You only have 2 choices, either surrender or die. There is no third way out. You. The barbarians were both frightened and angry. You are too bullying. Unable to defeat him and not allowed to flee. It was like being driven down a path of certain death. In an instant, these 19,000 people turned into cornered beasts, their fear transforming into ferocity under their survival instincts, paradoxically rallying from defeat to charge at the solitary figure in the snow. You can kill 1,000, but can you really wipe out all 20,000 of us? However, they soon realized a terrifying fact. This man really could. The chi power of the white robe seemed never-ending. Many times, when they saw the white robe pause, they thought he was finally exhausted. However, he merely wiped the thick bloodstains off his spear, then continued to charge at them, giving no indication of fatigue. From an organized retreat, the barbarians devolved into a disorderly rout, but even so, very few managed to escape. That white horse was like a ghost reaping lives, appearing behind anyone who thought of leaving. The geography around Huqiu Mountain meant there were only 2 viable escape routes. Add to that the 800 light cavalry covering gaps. It was like herding sheep, relentlessly driving them back. In the hearts of the fleeing barbarians, there was no more fighting spirit left, completely turning into lambs awaiting slaughter. 2,000 men, 3,000 men, 8,000 men, up to 10,000, until at dawn the next day, when the heavy snow suddenly stopped and sunlight flooded the earth. The killing went on all night long. Finally, the barbarians were utterly consumed by fear.
Gut Rennchen lief hier full.
Just like a tamed beast at the slaughterhouse, unable to muster even a hint of resistance. Even the thought of running away was absent. Clang clang. Weapons and armor were discarded as if to relieve a flood. The last 10,000 barbarians kneeled down in unison, like straw blown by the wind. We surrender! We surrender! Ah! Ah! In a reflexive response, some even looked across the blank expanse, seeing white horses and white robes everywhere, and were frightened into madness on the spot. In the distance, already subdued by Zhao Kong and others, Yuan Chengzhao was completely numb, just staring dazedly at the soldiers in front of him kneeling in surrender and at the blood-covered white-robed general who still did not know fatigue. He alone had likely killed over 4,000 people that night. And yet he was not exhausted. One man killed an army. Yuan Chengzhao trembled all over. He was certain. In the world, there was no second man as fiercely brave. This loss was not unjust. Hongzhe camp. Chao Ji, leading along with Assistant General Yu Jike, rushed forward with 15,000 cavalry. Not far ahead of them was Huqiu Mountain, the barbarians' major camp. Why is it so quiet? Chao Ji, with a worried expression. Did we take a wrong turn? We didn't take a wrong turn. Yu Jike stated confidently. I once personally led the night patrol team here to scout. Prime Minister Yuan's camp is right ahead. Why is there no noise at all? Could something have happened?
Gao Yi Mu De.
800 light cavalry, still scouts. Going to annihilate the enemy force was an utterly absurd task in itself. Now, with such silence, how could one not worry? Inside Hongzhe camp, most of the soldiers, who hadn't truly fought with Chun Sansi before, couldn't help whisper among themselves. Could our general have? Yes, after all, 800 men. It is said that Huqiu Mountain's barbarians have as many as 3 mystical phenomenon generals. Once surrounded. Stop talk. Wang Ji cursed. Sowing discord within the army is a capital offense. Don't you know? General Tang. Chao Ji suggested. How about the army halts here? And you and I take 50 light cavalry to Huqiu Mountain to clear up the situation before making a decision? Before understanding the situation, it was absolutely unwise for their main force to approach too closely. If the 800 cavalry had truly met their doom, it meant there could be a trap prepared up front, just waiting for them to jump in. My junior brother is not reckless. Wang Ji analyzed seriously. The previous attack by 800 cavalry could be a feint. His command for us to lead the main army here might have other intentions. Let's go and see. They selected 50 light cavalry and headed with utmost speed to the slope where they could see the enemy camp. Then what they saw was a snowy field stained with red and white. Under the warm golden sun, hordes of submissive barbarians lining up neatly, heading toward Dashing's direction. Next to them were hardly any prison guards. At the rear, at the central army tent, the military flag had already been replaced with a large banner emblazoned with Shang, and another with the Chan general's banner. Seeing this, it was clear to Chao Ji and Wang Ji. Huqiu Mountain had been taken. 800 men had seized a camp of 20,000 soldiers and 3 mystical phenomenon generals. And so many, facing just 800, didn't even run, as if they were willing to surrender. Even looking at the bodies on the ground, just from the slain enemy, there were about 10,000. They were terrified into submission, chilled to the bone by the killing. But they only had 800 men. If controlling the enemy's leaders and forcing their surrender, that was understandable. But how was it possible to kill so many? Was this killing, or mowing grass? Chapter 505. Blood Sacrifice of Liangzhou City. A lone army enters the Great Desert. That's 10,000 people. To kill them all in a single line, it would take an entire night. General Chun. Chao Ji looked around, somewhat incoherently, and said, Aren't you famous for your wisdom and strategies? What is this about? I don't know either. Wang Ji squinted his mung-bean eyes, seemingly trying to see more clearly, and then yelled at the top of his lungs. That Zhao Kong. Come over here, you son of a... Zhao Kong, who was nearby, heard the commotion and rode over on his horse. Who is this? This is the 12th prince. After Wang Ji introduced him, he could not wait to ask, last night, what strategy did Shansher use again with you guys? 800 killing 10,000 people. Strategy? There was no strategy. Zhao Kong, displaying the blood stained on his armor, said, the strategy was to kill the gentleman alone, as he recounted the events. After Chao Ji's eyebrows rose, they never lowered again. What are you saying? General Chun, alone, cut down 3 enemy generals in the midst of 10,000 soldiers, and then, in the encirclement of 20,000 troops, He single-handedly killed over 4,000 enemies. Are you joking with me? Prince Yen, I have no reason to lie to you, Zhao Kong said calmly. The corpses are right here, and we only have 800 men. How could this be faked? It's not like the barbarians killed themselves. After repeated confirmations, Cao Ji felt somewhat dizzy. One arrow killed a master of the mysterious phenomenon? The remaining two were no match at all. When did he master the mysterious phenomenon? The last time I saw him on Ziwei Mountain, their realms were similar. But now he has mastered the Meridian Passage. And Chun Sansi has mastered the mysterious phenomenon. The most crucial part. How did he manage to kill thousands of men without exhausting his strength? Even if we ignore the fact that there were other martial artists of the same realm in the enemy side, even the most formidable mysterious phenomenon can only kill about 1,000 people before becoming completely exhausted. For 1,000, that's 4,000 men, among whom there were many barbarian military officers of various realms. How is that possible? Let alone a martial artist. Even if he's not human. According to what Cao Ji knows, even if a common immortal from the cultivation world came here, after killing about 1,000 people, all of their mana would be depleted, and without a means to escape, they would also die under the chaotic blades. For 1,000. How did he do it? The Grand Ancestor Cao Xie back then only broke through 2,000 armors, and although he was facing martial saints in terms of numbers, Chun Sansi has far surpassed that record. Prince Yen? Your Highness. Zhao Kong cautiously reminded. Since the army has arrived, we should quickly station ourselves in the forward camp. Only then did Cao Ji begin to calm the tumultuous waves in his heart and started arranging to station the men in the barbarian camp, sending the battle report back to Liangzhou City at the fastest speed possible. Outside the central army tent, Chun Sansi, having changed into clean robes, was wiping his long spear when he heard the thunderous sound of horse hooves ahead, as well as a familiar face leading the group. He set down the long spear, stepped forward and fist-palmed. This subordinate greets your highness. May I ask what brings your highness to grace us with your presence? General Chun, why stand on ceremony with me? Cao Ji hurriedly dismounted. To be honest, my visit this time was to seek some battlefield experience following the general, but as soon as I arrived, I heard such astounding combat achievements of the general, which I could not help but admire wholeheartedly. He pulled Chun Sansi aside into a corner, and said privately, Big brother, to put it bluntly, I just want to mingle with you for some military merits. You won't mind me, will you? Rest assured, I won't be a drag on you. For your highness to come, this subordinate is naturally honored. Chun Sansi said perfunctorily. Having a prince by his side was inconvenient for any task. But what could he do to send him away? What more could he say? Big brother, you still see me as an outsider. As Cao Ji spoke, he kept sizing him up and could not resist asking, Big brother, how did you do it? Chun Sansi inquired. Do what? The 4,000 men. Cao Ji stretched out his fingers. Big brother, aren't you exhausted? Chun Sansi replied indifferently. Kill them? Does that take effort? Suddenly, Cao Ji did not know how to continue the conversation. Since you're here, you might as well join me in planning the next phase of our advance. Chun Sansi said as he walked into the tent on his own. He spread out the map on the table at the head of the tent and ordered his subordinates to call all assistant generals and above. Cao Ji sat down by his side. He commanded his personal guard to bring a cup of wine, found an unopened barrel of barbarian wine from the large storehouse, and began to taste it leisurely. Go, roast a head of sheep as well. Yes. Soon after, a fatty sheep was roasted in the tent, its meaty aroma filling the air. Prince Yen really knows how to enjoy life. Chun Sansi did not look at the lamb leg that was passed to him, but instead focused on the map. How is the situation in Yu State now? The news hasn't come back so swiftly. Cao Ji, after eating only the tenderest 2 bites, put it down and spoke seriously. According to the previous plan, at least 5 camps of troops will be assembled within 10 days from inside the Great Wall in the safe zone to support Yu State. Now, since General Chun has taken down Huqiu Mountain, it means a closer route to Yu State has been opened, and there's also a chance to surprise the barbarians by circumventing them and directly appearing behind them outside the Great Wall of Yu State. However, it'll also take 2 months' time. General, what do you think we should advise Liang State? Chu Shixiang spoke with a heavier sense of reverence in his tone. God of slaughter. Among those present, his realm was the highest, so naturally he saw things most clearly. Last night's heavy snow. A white-clad god of slaughter. This gentleman, amid 10,000 troops, moved as if he were entering uninhabited territory. He went straight to the barbarians who didn't even dare to flee. What concept is this? Chun Sansi looked at the Luotian mountain range on the map, its full extent unknown, ultimately making it difficult to make entirely accurate decisions. Chapter 506. Blood Sacrifice of Liangzhou City. Lone Army enters the Great Desert _2. After pondering, he spoke. Write to Liangzhou and say that we hope they can dispatch 2 more regiments of troops out of the Great Wall to meet with us at Huqiu Mountain, and then we can make further plans. Good. I'll write it myself. Cao Ji immediately picked up a pen there and then, before the grand strategy was set, Chun Sansi could only await here with his troops. Thankfully, The crude encampment the barbarian tribes had hastily established spared them a lot of trouble. Whoosh! Whoosh! Just at that moment. Suddenly, a gale started outside, causing the tents to flap wildly, as if they were about to be ripped away at any moment. What a fierce wind! Why has it gotten so windy all of a sudden? Listening to the discussions outside, Chun Sansi put down the map and walked out of the tent. He saw that the sky, which had been clear not long before, was now densely covered with dark clouds, and an even more intense blizzard began to pour down, sufficient to affect the upcoming battle. General Chun, the halfway riding Chao Ji, came out. With such heavy snow, the supply lines can't be maintained, can they? Indeed. Chu Shixiang, gazing at the sky with concern, said, "Why is it snowing so heavily? If it continues like this, I'm afraid the battle can't be fought." Chao Ji said, "General Chun, do we still stick to the original plan? Under such heavy snow, even if we forcefully advance, there'll be no subsequent supplies. It might turn out that." Chu Shixiang looked at the overwhelming snowstorm. "This battle will be called off and we might have to retreat back to Liangzhou City, supporting you state's defense only from within the Great Wall and no longer taking the initiative to attack. The northern campaign is likely to be postponed until next spring." "It's really quite bizarre," Chao Ji muttered. "Could it be that the barbarians anticipated this heavy snow, and that's why they attacked you state, betting that we wouldn't be able to send a large army deep into their territory no matter what?" "Continue." As the two discussed, an authoritative voice, brooking no doubt, sounded by their ears. There stood a figure in a white robe, leaning on a long spear amidst the swirling snowstorm, issuing a command. "Tell Liangzhou that they must send at least 2 regiments of troops to Huqiu Mountain by any means necessary and quickly." Chao Ji was right. This battle, the barbarians dared to attack Yu State with such disregard. Not because they weren't afraid of being attacked from both front and rear, but because they probably already knew that the Grand Army of Desheng couldn't venture far from Liangzhou City. The more the situation developed like this, the more urgent it was to dispatch troops from the city to stand by, ready for unforeseen needs. Whatever the enemy intended to do, they simply must not be allowed to succeed, even at a great cost. And was it really just the snow they were relying on? Chun Sansi, looking in the direction of the Luotian mountain range, knew in his heart that it might not be the case. There might be an even greater scheme at play, one that even his master and the others were unaware of. The Agate River, the barbarians' great village, the Yuan tribe and Duan clan, a total of 50,000 troops gathered at this place. Among them, the martial saint of the Yuan clan, the great Khan's own elder brother, the left Xian King Yuan Jingwen, was personally in charge here. His nephew, 9th Prince Yuan, as well as Yuan Xin, who had recently returned from a study in Dashing, were also present. "Shiner." Yuan Jingwen's deep and rough voice was filled with indulgence. "You really won't leave and insist on staying here?" "I won't leave." Yuan Xin, still dressed in the attire of the Shang people, sat on a deer leather chair. "Uncle, I want to stay here, waiting to take my revenge." "Good. My nephew truly has made something of himself," Yuan Jingwen said laughingly. "You just wait. Before long, not a single man, woman, old person or child will remain inside Liangzhou City, and your vengeance will be served. I also want to capture Chun Sansi alive." 9th Prince Yuan clenched his fist, "and then take the Jinyue sword back." "Nephew, you really don't have to dwell on this so much," Yuan Jingwen said gravely. "It seems now that it wasn't your carelessness back then, but rather that Chun Sansi is no simple man." Speaking of which, 9th Prince Yuan initially encountered Chun Sansi outside the Shi River tribe in Payang County. At that time, Chun Sansi was just a little-known centurion from a small county's household's office. Yet in just 2 or 3 years, he became renowned throughout the world. Now he has even been ennobled as an earl, commanding an army of soldiers. It can only be said, his nephew has no cause for shame. Surviving is already quite an accomplishment. "Report. Prince, terrible news." Suddenly, a soldier burst into the tent, so excessively panicked that he staggered and fell to the ground. "Prime Minister! The Prime Minister! The Prime Minister?" Yuan Jingwen leaned forward. "What happened to the Prime Minister?" Outside Huqiu Mountain, Chun Sansi led 800 scouts, cutting down 10,000 of our soldiers, captured another 10,000, and then captured the Prime Minister alive, sending him back to Liangzhou. "What?" Yuan Jingwen stood up and hurried over to the soldier. "What did you just say? Repeat that." "Prince, it's..." The soldier, gasping for breath, tried to recount the entire sequence of events as completely as possible. 800 scouts annihilated the garrison at Huqiu Mountain. Tengur and Dariachi died in battle right then and there. Chun Sansi alone cut down thousands of the enemy? Ridiculous. It's far too absurd. "Prince, this information comes from friendly forces stationed nearby. There's absolutely no mistake." He, a mysterious phenomenon, managed to slay thousands without tiring? Yuan Jingwen couldn't imagine it. At that moment, 9th Prince Yuan said, "I didn't even have a meridian passage by my side. Looking at it this way, I'm still the strongest." This child is a monster, even more so than Sun Xiangzong. Yu Wenjingwen ground his teeth. Dashing really is a land of outstanding people. Sun Xiangzong is not dead yet, and already another such man has appeared. Uncle. Ninth Prince Yu Wenxin said, "What do we do? Shall we deploy the troops to go and rescue my seventh uncle? It's too late now. By the time we get there, seventh brother will probably have already been taken back inside Liangzhou City." Yu Wenjingwen closed his eyes. And considering the date, the blood sacrifice of the slaughter vein is about to begin. Seventh brother inside Liangzhou City is more likely to meet misfortune than fortune. Chapter 507. Blood sacrifice of Liangzhou City. Lone army enters the Great Desert _3. Ah? Yu Wenxin asked, "Don't you want to think of a way? Just like me, save them through negotiations. There's no time left. Everything is centered on the high priest. I will keep the sacrifice of my seventh brother in the hearts of the Sky Clan." Yu Wenjingwen's expression turned icy. And with such a blizzard, the Shang people will surely retreat to south of the Great Wall soon, and then what awaits them is refinement. The deep-seated hatred of blood between my Sky Clan and Liangzhou. There will also be an outcome. Langjiaxu Mountain. Ridiculous. The great Khan of the Yuan tribe also received the news. He almost flipped the table in front of him. As soon as the battle started, the Yuan tribe lost 3 generals in succession. The faces of the other 3 tribes' Khans all showed a bit of schadenfreude. Calm down. At the altar, the high priest of the witch god sect burst out with a black and red evil chi. The great ritual begins. Everything will soon come to an end. Liangzhou, Prince Mansion. The 6th prince, Ji and several generals, including Fang Qingyun, were once again waiting. In anxiety, Chao Huan finally received the frontline news. I wonder if the troops dispatched by this prince will arrive in time to support General Chun, and how the situation at Huqiu Mountain is? He pondered while opening the letter to personally review the battle report. Then he was taken aback. Your Highness. Seeing his reaction, Ji asked in a deep voice, "Could it be that something has happened?" "Something has happened. A big event." Chao Huan handed over the letter with joy. General Chun last night led 800 light cavalry and slew 10,000 enemy troops, capturing Prime Minister Yuan alive. Right now, 10,000 prisoners and Yuan Chengzhao are on their way back. Upon hearing this, Ji quickly took the letter, his facial expression changing. They say General Chun has unrivaled cunning, but it now seems his bravery is also enough to top the 3 armies. Chao Huan couldn't stop admiring. As it stands, he's second only to General Ji, then, yes, General Ji. You truly deserve to be brothers from the same school. General Chen's cunning is comparable to General Fang, while his bravery rivals General Ji. Supervisor Sun's closed-door disciple is really something. With General Chun in Beiliang in the future, no worries. In the room, many were old generals of the Beiliang army. They might not have high status or realm, but each was an assistant general who commanded troops for years, with considerable authority and a high reputation in the army. Listening to their conversation, Ji's gaze grew even deeper. Huqiu Mountain is settled. The 3rd brother, Niayuan, said, "But this snowstorm is getting heavier. What should we do next?" By common sense, with such a snowstorm, we should shrink the whole army back. Figure out how to mobilize the troops to defend your state instead of attacking. Chao Huan said with conflict. But General Chun wrote in the letter, hoping that we would send out 2 more camps of troops from the city. But won't this mean even the provisions can't keep up? Va. Always sending provisions ahead of troops. Without sustaining logistical support, sending troops rashly is out of the question. This snowstorm is not normal. Fang Qingyun came to the door in his wheelchair, watching the heavy snow in the courtyard. The half-year before the war, I kept an eye on the heavenly phenomenon day and night, and somehow I missed this blizzard. It feels as if it's deliberately made by the barbarians, with the purpose of stopping our advance, facilitating their attack on your state, exuding strangeness everywhere. My view is the same as General Chen's. The more this is the case, the less we can do as they wish. Even if we are temporarily unable to launch a large-scale campaign to the north due to the influence of the heavenly phenomenon, we absolutely can't hunker down in the city and wait to die. We should select 2 camps of troops to leave the city and take a shortcut to Yu State. I agree. General Ji took over. Liangzhou and Yu State are separated by the Luotian mountain range, and now with a snow-blocked road, even if we take the nearest route outside the Great Wall, it might not be timely, let alone the route inside the wall. Why not let me lead the Black Tortoise and White Tiger camps north out of the Great Wall? First rendezvous with General Chun at Huqiu Mountain, and then all 3 camps march directly to Yu State, striving to arrive within a month to support. Chao Huan pondered. What about the supplies? And General Ji, aren't you afraid this is a ploy by the barbarians, and that you'll encounter an ambush on the way to Yu State? 1 month of supplies will suffice, General Ji said solemnly. As for the ambush, if there truly is one, then we shall break through it. Good. Worthy of being the most fierce among horses, General Ji among men. Chao Huan made up his mind. I trust your judgment. Let's go with the general's suggestions. Black Tortoise Camp and White Tiger Camp will take 30 days of provisions and head north out of the Great Wall immediately. This subordinate accepts the order. General Ji saluted and hurriedly left. The third brother, Nya Yuan, followed closely. He whispered, "Our little junior brother is too exceptional. The Battle of Huqiu Mountain will soon spread throughout Liangzhou, and then the entire Beiliang army will know of his valor. Those old generals just now clearly admired him greatly. Yes, so we can't wait any longer. We must fight 2 tough battles as well." General Ji's armor clanked as he walked. "In this northern battle, I intend to take the lead. If possible, I aspire to the position of supervisor. Only then can I protect my younger brothers and sisters." Big brother is right. Just don't know, with such a big matter, is our master really not coming out to take charge? Luotian Mountain Range. 12 layers mountain. At the core, below the main peak, the altar stood tall, evil chi soared to the sky, and the formation patterns intensified. One after another black-robed cultivator, holding Vajra pestles, took their positions at specific locations, manipulating the formation to unfold. The slaughter vein beneath the earth revived, and the immense evil chi, like an ocean, spread out from the 12 layers mountain as its center, expanding into the heavens and earth. Chapter 508. Blood Sacrifice of Liangzhou City. Lone army enters the Great Desert _4. The aura of sinister evil, changing the heavenly phenomenon, causing the temperature in the northern desert to continuously plummet. The entire slaughter vein, starting from the south at Luotian, extending north to Longjusu, spanning tens of thousands of miles. Wherever it passed, a blizzard raged, with the Luotian mountain range resembling a succession of snowy mountains. Atop the altar, there were a number of cultivators from the ancient demon clan of the cultivation world. They cultivated by relying on the evil chi, their bodies exuding an eerie and murderous aura. Their faces, eroded by the evil chi, were webbed with black veins like a spider's web, and their eyes were an unnaturally deep red. Esteemed immortal masters, the formation is complete. Wushan sect leader Elada appeared. "Shall we begin?" "Don't rush." The leader among the cultivators, a young man who didn't look more than 20 and held a sword, had eyes that betrayed a weariness not matching his age. "Our guest hasn't arrived yet. Dang immortal, in my opinion, that Sun fellow is also utterly helpless." Elada sneered. "Otherwise, he would have come long ago." Dang immortal spoke. "Let's start." Before his words had faded, a silver dragon descended from the sky. Dang immortal and several other ancient demon cultivators were already prepared. The 5 magic artifacts in their possession sprang to action. As they moved, the altar's formation drew upon the killing evil chi from the ancestor vein, bolstering it with power, and astonishingly transformed into a black evil dragon. Boom! Upon collision, the black dragon dissipated. But the silver dragon was also knocked flying backward. In the end, it fell into the hands of an old man who had appeared abruptly, someone who was a centenarian. By his side, there was also an old Taoist in a Taoist robe. "We've seen Emperor Dashing," Wushan sect leader Elada asked in a neither hot nor cold tone. "It seems the lifespan extension pill is quite effective. Our cooperation has been pleasant, hasn't it?"
Elada.
Chao Kai ignored him and instead rebuked. "Elada, you dare collude with the demon clan of the cultivation world, practice demon techniques, and attempt to revive the slaughter vein. Do you realize that once the slaughter vein is resurrected, and the demon clan pours into the human realm, it will bring catastrophe to all living beings?" "What of it?" Elada laughed coldly. "My Wushan sect was founded by a powerful ancient demon in ancient times. We are merely returning to our roots. By then, all of you will be nourishment for my heavenly clan. I'll give you a chance." Sun Xiangzong spoke indifferently. "Scram back to your own homes, and I will just destroy the slaughter vein and spare your lives." "Sun Xiangzong, don't you think you're being overly arrogant?" Dang Immortal's voice was raspy. "Better to save your own decrepit life and hide away to catch your breath for a few more years. Since you know I don't have much time left, you should value your lives even more." As Sun Xiangzong finished speaking, he spread the palm of his hand open, revealing a spiritual pearl engraved with the destructive spirit array. As tremendous mana began to erupt from it, "I am not afraid of the backlash from the evil chi." "Destructive spirit array?" Dang Immortal Master discerned the truth. "No wonder you haven't dealt with the slaughter vein for so many years, only to rush over now. It turns out you have been looking for ways to charge the destructive spirit array. For that very reason, they did not wait for the slaughter vein to naturally recover over the long years, but instead set up the blood sacrifice array to prematurely provoke it. Both sides were racing against time. The ancient demon clan wanted to revive the slaughter vein before Sun Xiangzong found the destructive spirit array that sealed it. In the end, they still collided. Sun Xiangzong, Dang Immortal Master, holding his magic weapon flying sword, hovered in the air. "You think you are the only one with a powerful inherited formation? To destroy the slaughter vein, you must first destroy the blood sacrifice array. Activate the formation." At his command, Elada immediately inserted the Vajra pestle, obtained from the hands of the ancient demon clan, into the altar's groove. It contained the blood of hundreds of thousands from Yunzhou over 10 days, plus the essence blood of martial artists collected slowly over the years, preserved through the magic artifact until this moment. All of it now injected into the altar. Then a crimson formation was superimposed on top of the original revival array. taking the deeply buried slaughter vein as the energy source, expanding and strengthening without restraint until a pillar of blood-red evil chi shot into the sky, and the ominous chi slowly spread across the dome, unfolding like a blood-red curtain pulling open slowly above the sky. Boundary. Buzz. Under this boundary, the spiritual pearl extinguished, falling back into the hands of Sun Xiangzong. The destructive spirit array failed. All things engender and overcome one another, and formations are no exception. Chao Kai nodded and said, influenced by this array? Yes, thanks to His Majesty. Sun Xiangzong had no choice but to put away the spiritual pearl temporarily. The essence blood of tens of thousands of people from Yunzhou is here, plus the slaughter vein as the supply of mana. To activate the destructive spirit array, we must first destroy the blood sacrifice array. The blood sacrifice array. Emperor Longqing asked, what is the purpose of this array? To protect the slaughter vein. Protect. The Wushan sect leader sneered and clarified for him. Once the blood sacrifice array is formed, it will encompass the entire Liangzhou. By then, the 5 million people of the city will all become nutrients for the slaughter vein. Evil doer. Chao Kai's Taoist robe fluttered, and the dragon abyss sword hummed as it flew out. I shall destroy this array. You think you can? Deng Immortal Master, leading several ancient demon cultivators, swarmed forward to entangle in a fight. Their sword chi fierce like tornadoes, startling countless birds and beasts in the forest into frenzied flight. The Wushan sect leader Eleda held a copper bell in his hand and gently shook it, issuing a command to someone. Aren't you going to make a move yet? Boom! From both sides of the woods, figures dashed out, one holding a long sword, one holding a pair of blades. It was none other than Xiao Yujing and Wen Ji, who had been controlled by the Gu insect, attacking the old governor holding a long spear from the left and the right. Chapter 509. Blood Sacrifice of Liangzhou City. Lone Army enters the Great Desert _5. One was a human sword saint. The other was a dual saber martial saint. Placed in the secular world, both were figures who had reached the pinnacle of martial arts. So it was controlled by the Gu insect. Sun Xiangzong spoke as true power surged forth from him in waves. Boom! Under the tremendous power, the ground within a Tenjiang radius cracked open under the wave of energy. Sand and rocks flew about, and dust filled the sky, obscuring everyone's vision, leaving no one clear about what was happening. My son! My son! Wen Ji was trapped in a huge terrifying nightmare. He couldn't control his body and watched himself, taking out the demon-subduing pestle and smashing his son's heart, and shortly thereafter, he was about to strike at his daughter, when he was stopped by a long spear. Chun Sansi, this avenger who had killed his eldest son had yet saved his daughter. After that, Wen Ji lost consciousness. Until this moment, he finally came back to his senses. What happened? Wen Ji saw himself holding dual sabers, his body covered in blood. Whom did I kill again? He slowly lifted his head and saw an aged face with white hair. Sun Supervisor? I killed Sun Supervisor? Cough, cough, cough. A few coughs disrupted Wen Ji's illusions. He then saw that his dual sabers, along with Xiao Yujing's long sword, hadn't pierced the old governor's body at all but were blocked by a layer of protective true power, unable to advance an inch. Enough. Do you two really think your fancy moves could kill anyone? Sun Xiangzong let their weapons chop at him as he calmly took out 2 elixir pills and swallowed them. Stop dawdling. This old man's last clearing god talisman was also used on you too. If you don't hurry to kill the Wushan sect leader's mother Gu, you will still be unable to break free from control. Wen Ji trembled as he withdrew his dual sabers. Supervisor. Thank you for your intervention, Sun Supervisor. Sun Xiangzong ignored the two and dashed towards the altar, his silver dragon roaring in his hand, causing several witch god sect followers to be torn apart, leaving only a handful alive in the blink of an eye. The Wushan sect leader conjured spells, his hands turning into blood-red demonic claws. However, he was no match. After merely 2 rounds, he fled with injuries. Elsewhere, Chao Kai had also slain several, capturing 1 demon cultivator alive. Immortals! All of you are immortals? Wen Ji and Xiao Yujing found it hard to accept. You too. Why aren't you assisting promptly? Chao Kai rebuked coldly, then proceeded with sword flight, heading straight for the remaining demon cultivators. Seeing this, Wen Ji and Xiao Yujing stopped just watching. One went to assist while the other controlled the captured ancient demon cultivator. Boom! After repelling the Wushan sect leader, no one else could stop them. The silver dragon descended from the sky, and under the surge of true power, it fiercely tore through the black evil chi, shattering the altar. However, the blood sacrifice array in the sky did not stop. This place was not the real array. For the first time, a serious expression flickered across Sun Xiangzong's aged face. Sun! In the distance, the Wushan sect leader revealed a triumphant smile. You fell into the trap. Sun Xiangzong took out a spiritual pearl and gauged the distribution of the slaughter vein while examining the array patterns left on the altar, quickly understanding the operating principle of the so-called blood sacrifice array. This place was the origin of the slaughter vein. The real array I should be at the end of the slaughter vein, that is, the barbarian heavenly capital. Langjutsu Mountain. Chao Kai. Leave this place to you. Sun Xiangzong didn't waste a word and was about to fly away, leaving Liang Zhou. But there was a boundary in the sky that even he couldn't forcibly break through. Don't bother, Dang Immortal taunted. Since you've come, don't think about leaving. From this moment on, not a single living creature in Liang Zhou can pass through. This was indeed their open plot. This time, the blood sacrifice array had 3 array eyes, 2 main and 1 auxiliary, perfectly corresponding to the 3 most important positions of the slaughter vein, acting in mutual response, continuously extracting energy from the slaughter vein to complete the blood sacrifice array. Even as capable as Sun Xiangzong was, he could only destroy one. The other 2 array eyes could continue to function. Buzz! Chao Kai flew into the sky, his sword striking down, yet unable to move it an inch. He looked towards the supervisor. What should we do? The auxiliary array eye is in the east, in the direction of Yu State. Sun Xiangzong narrowed his eyes. He hadn't personally participated in the battle, having used the last of his energy to manage the anomalies in the Luotian mountain range, but he was not completely ignorant of the frontline intelligence. No wonder the barbarians used their troops abnormally, mainly attacking Yu State. There was the auxiliary array eye. It was also the location of the life gate. By destroying the auxiliary array eye, they could open a life gate. Everything has a weakness, and arrays were no exception. This life gate was one of the weak points of the blood sacrifice array. As long as the barbarians tightly controlled the array eye on the border of Yu State, they could ensure that no one escaped alive. And Sun Xiangzong speculated. At this point in time, Yu State had already been breached. To be precise, it had been torn open. The barbarians' target was not Yu State, but the Zhu Tua Pass on the border of Yu State. Cough, cough, cough. Sun Xiangzong coughed a few times and again took a large amount of elixir pills to maintain his condition, giving Emperor Longqing the best solution. Either send someone to Zhu Tua Pass to locate the life gate, or go to Langjutsu Mountain and destroy another main array eye. The array eye here had been destroyed. If they could destroy 2 main array eyes, relying solely on 1 auxiliary array eye, the array could no longer continue operating. Langjutsu Mountain? Chao Kai's eyes twitched almost imperceptibly. That is the barbarian great capital, thousands of miles away from here. Chapter 510, Blood Sacrifice in Liangzhou City. A lone army enters the Great Desert _6. He had never intended to reach the Yin Mountain in this northern expedition. His greatest hope was simply to capture the area around the Agate River, which he would later use to breed warhorses for dashing. Langjutsu Mountain seemed far too distant. Let's deal with these people first. Angered, Chao Kai was ready to attack the Wushan sect leader and Dang Immortal with his sword. We dare to come here because we have something to rely on. Dang Immortal waved his hands. An array flags appeared in front of him, landing around the last living people, and then a boundary appeared, enclosing them. After several attempts, Emperor Longqing felt that this boundary was somehow connected to the blood sacrifice array above the heavenly dome. Don't waste your energy, Dang Immortal sneered. Unless the blood sacrifice array is broken first, this boundary will not be breached. They were directly harnessing the power of the slaughter vein's evil chi, an ability beyond what any inferior formation could match. Simultaneously, above their heads, a black-red vortex formed above the dome, a swirling mass of crimson blood mist flying out, and as an exotic beast eagle encountered the mist, its flesh and bones dissolved into blood, all absorbed by the array to become nourishment for the revival of the slaughter vein. Once the blood mist filled the sky from above, within Liangzhou City, both people and livestock would be sacrificed, their living beings obliterated. Cough, cough, cough. Sun Xiangzong's coughing worsened, forcing him to sit cross-legged on the ground to cultivate and recuperate. Life gate, life gate. Emperor Longqing muttered. I cannot die here, nor is it possible for me to do so. Since there is a life gate, it can definitely be opened. Capturing Yu State is next. Chu! He called over Hai Dongqing, took out paper and a brush from the storage bag, and was about to give orders to the front. Seeing this, the Wushan sect leader, hiding within the boundary, jeered. Chao Kai, have you lost your mind? The boundary has been sealed. What do your troops have to use to get out? This was precisely what Emperor Longqing was worried about. According to the original plan, there were only 800 light cavalry outside at this time. Mobilizing troops from other areas to Yu State was simply not feasible. Heh. In such a dire situation, the seated Sun Xiangzong could only sneer. Zizhan, why the cold laughter? Emperor Longqing said. If we can't leave this place, you and I will both die here. I laugh at the emperor who sits on the dragon chair in the capital controlling the life and death of others, having his moment of panic, truly a case of reaping what one sows. It's just a shame. Sun Xiangzong's tone suddenly grew harsher. It's just a shame that you alone covet life and commit atrocities. Yet millions of Liangzhou citizens must die senselessly with you. Chao Kai, may you never find peace in death. What happens in Yunzhou in the next 10 days has nothing to do with me. Emperor Longqing, unangered, let Hai Dongqing carry away the finished letter, his gaze deepening as he felt the Dragon Abyss sword in his hand. In the Dragon Abyss sword, there still lay half a kingdom. inside Liangzhou City. Look! Quick! Look! What is that in the sky? Such a huge anomaly. It wasn't just visible in Liangzhou, but could be clearly seen in the surrounding prefecture cities as well. Above the Luotian mountain range, within the vast dark clouds, a sudden pitch-black vortex appeared. Strands of blood-red eerie mist fell from it, shrouding the entire sky like a giant blood-red bell trapping countless living beings inside. What's going on? At the edge of the Great Wall, 6th Prince Chao Huan, Fang Qingyun, and several veteran generals personally came to see off the troops of Black Tortoise Camp and White Tiger Camp as they headed to battle. Not long after the camps had departed, a blood-red mist wall appeared between heaven and earth, about 2 li outside the edge of the Great Wall. This? What kind of sorcery is this? Chao Huan nervously said. Quick! You go check it out. A soldier rode to the edge of the mist wall and out of curiosity, reached out his arm to touch it. Crack! Ah! In an instant, the soldier's arm dissolved into blood water. He fell to the ground writhing and wailing. What? Everyone on the wall, having witnessed this scene, was utterly horrified. It's a boundary. Fang Qingyun, who was ever so knowledgeable, finally spoke. It seems we are trapped. Trapped? What do you mean? Chao Huan could not understand. This blood mist. Can it really trap millions of people in Liangzhou? Tweet. A Hai Dongxing flew in. He hastily took off a letter. Father. Chao Huan, recognizing the very familiar handwriting, acknowledged it as his father's. Father is in Liangzhou? When did he arrive? He read on. The content was utterly terrifying. To sum it up briefly, if they could not, within the allotted time, find their way to State and locate the special altar within the Luotian mountain range, millions of soldiers and civilians within Liangzhou City would all turn into blood water, just like that soldier just now. Ah! The screams continued. The soldier, in agony, fell from his horse. Even though only his arm had touched the blood mist, the rest of his body rapidly dissolved, spreading like a plague, and soon he was completely vanished. A literal evaporation of a person. State. The scene before him was too bizarre, beyond the understanding of ordinary people. But Chao Huan knew that to save his life and preserve Liangzhou City, he could only do as his father said. Quick! Gather all the troops. He paused mid-sentence. He suddenly froze, because he realized, where could they even escape to? Inside Liangzhou City, there were more than 100,000 troops, most of whom were trapped in the city. Now outside the Great Wall, there were only Chun Sansi and Ji, leading the 3 camps, while the barbarian tribes in State had as many as 150,000 troops. Chapter 511. Defying orders at Huqiu Mountain, marching straight to the great capital city. Now, Liangzhou City was almost entirely trapped within the boundary. Only 3 camps of soldiers remained outside. These 3 camps were forcibly deployed outside at Chun Sansi's insistence. If it had been according to Chao Huan and others' plans, there probably wouldn't have been a single soldier outside by now, and more than 100,000 troops would have been trapped within the Great Wall. General Fang, Chao Huan lamented. It is thanks to your persistence, otherwise, we really would have had nothing left but to await death. Even so, the situation is still not optimistic. Zhao Wuji said. Even with 3 camps of soldiers outside, we still need to find a way to make contact. With the entire heavenly dome shrouded, exotic beasts like Hai Dongxing could no longer pass through at will. Old Big, Chang Wei, the second senior brother, leaped to the front of the fog wall and, mobilizing vigorous chi blood, shouted to the outside, GG, can you still hear us from the outside? Outside the boundary. GG and Ye Yuan had just led the troops less than 20 miles from the Great Wall when sudden abnormalities burst forth behind them. They witnessed with their own eyes. Above the sky of the Luotian mountain range, the sky seemed to tear open, spewing forth a scarlet blood mist, dyeing the entire canvas of the sky before forming a boundary that descended. Liangzhou City was trapped, regardless of whether they were human or animal. Old Big, Ye Yuan pulled his horse to a halt. What is this? The Luotian mountain range. GG made a quick judgment. I thought my master completely abstained from the war. Turns out there were problems at the core of the mountain range. Related to the poisonous beast? Ye Yuan asked. What should we do next? Let's go back and see. GG ordered the troops to halt their advance. He rode the fire horse swiftly to the boundary and, holding the heavenly halberd filled with rolling true chi, struck down mightily upon the blood fog. The result was a whiff, as if the fog was truly ordinary mist, and his heavenly halberd smashed solidly into the ground, stirring up waves of mist that swept toward him. He hurriedly retreated, widening the distance. What a peculiarly eerie boundary. They saw before their eyes, a sparrow fly into the mist and then dissolve into blood. Immediately afterward, they heard the second senior brother Cheng Wei's voice. Old Big, can you possibly hear the sound? Old Two, Nye Yuan hastily replied. We can hear you. Suddenly, both sides let out a slight sigh of relief. The essence of the Great Formation was the refining of flesh and blood. It had not reached the point of completely severing internal and external contact. If even communication could not be guaranteed, then it really would have been nothing left but awaiting death. General Ji, Chao Huan shouted. Things are looking bad. We must resolve the trouble within a set time. Otherwise, the millions of soldiers and civilians of Liangzhou will all be refined by this strange blood mist. After you go to Huqiu Mountain, join forces with General Chun, and then immediately proceed to Yu State to assist in the battle. Go inside the mountain range and destroy the array he said. Yu State.
Yi nodded. I understand.
What comes next? Zhao Wuji spoke. How do we maintain timely communication? The battlefield changes in an instant. Even with Hai Dongxing, they couldn't guarantee real-time intelligence. They certainly couldn't always rely on shouting across the air since it was far too inefficient. Ji examined the heavenly halberd that had come into contact with the blood mist and remained unharmed. He quickly figured out the pattern of the formation. He took an iron core bow, drew it to its full extent, and shot an arrow toward the fog wall. Whoosh! Within the fog wall, Chao Huan and others successfully saw the arrow. This will do. Ji suggested a method. We still use Hai Dongxing to carry messages. We only need to have people wait inside and outside the fog wall, then tie the messages to arrows and shoot them through the blood mist. Once the most convenient method of communication was established, Chao Huan directly sent the Emperor's handwritten letter outside the blood mist. The Emperor? Ji, looking at the letter, grew even more solemn. The Emperor is also inside Liangzhou City now? He knew in his heart that there was no time to waste and immediately led the troops toward Huqiu Mountain. Longjiu Mountain. The formation is complete. At the altar, the high priest of the witch god sect spoke faintly. With time, Liangzhou will be devoid of humans and animals. Once the slaughter vein is revived, swarms of ancient demon immortal masters will flood in. Not to mention Liangzhou, Dashing, but the entire world, the entire eastern continent will be ours. Now, through a great sacrifice, they had only managed to bring in a few immortal masters. But if the evil chi revived, the heavenly and earthly seals would automatically unlock, and by then, this place would truly become the land of the demon clan. Mortals, how could they contend with gods and demons? Well done. The great Kan Yuan addressed the other three. Gentlemen, shall we discuss how to divide the territories thereafter? Indeed. The great Khan Tuoba pulled out a map he had prepared earlier. This battle, they were fighting with ease. All they needed to do was guard the array. The rest would be taken care of by the demon clan's immortal masters. Afterward, not only would they gain the world, but they would also be able to practice demon techniques, pursuing the immortal path of everlasting life. The Agate River. Early in the morning, Yuanxin stood atop the high slope looking toward the south, only smiling coldly with satisfaction when the expected anomaly occurred. Excellent. It started. Nephew, do you see it? Millions of people in Liangzhou City, along with countless livestock, have all become materials in the cauldron. Uncle, that's not quite right. Yuanxin added. Did you forget? There's also Chun Sanxi's 800 light cavalry. After they took down Huqiu Mountain, they'll surely send people over to garrison, and there might be 2 camps of soldiers. Ah, you've improved. Yuanxin, tall as an ox, patted his nephew's shoulder. I've already sent people to scout the situation. Chapter 512. Defying orders at Huqiu Mountain, marching straight to the great capital city _2. Report. In the midst of blizzards, a rider hurriedly approached. Bring the intelligence. Intelligence has arrived. Yuan Jingwen spoke in a deep voice. Speak. How many people have escaped from outside Liangzhou City by now? At Huqiu Mountain, there are 15,000 men from Beiliang Hongza camp. The soldier knelt in the snow. At the edge of the Great Wall Barrier, roughly 2,000 to 3,000 soldiers and horses are estimated. Led by Ji, surmising he is leading 2 camps to meet with Hongza camp at Huqiu Mountain. So, you're saying within the Great Desert there are now 3 camps? Yuan Jingwen muttered pensively. In such a snowstorm, they still dare to deploy troops outward, neglecting even their logistic supplies. Whose idea? It must be Chun Sanxi. He answered his own question. Yuan Xian calculated, 3 camps of soldiers, according to their structure, is roughly around 45,000 men. That's no small number. Uncle, if they head towards Yu State, couldn't that spell trouble? Not a big problem. Yuan Jingwen patiently explained the situation to his nephew. In the corner of Yu State, most likely a breach has already been torn open, firmly defending Zhu Tua Pass. Moreover, not only do my heavenly clan's 4 divisions have 150,000 soldiers and a martial saint, but also an immortal master helps, so even if their 3 camps manage to arrive, just a single martial saint is fundamentally futile. The most crucial point, nephew, you must not forget. We don't even need to win this battle, we just need to protect the array. Delay time, wait until the blood sacrifice array is completed, and after the slaughter vein revives, the rest will naturally be handled by the immortal masters of the ancient demon clan. So uncle means. Prince Yuan Xen seemed to understand but not quite. Ignore them. Let them be. Yuan Jingwen spoke indifferently. Even if the 3 camps truly go to Yu State, they are no more than a drop in the bucket. Huqiu Mountain. Hongza Army Camp. Sir. Look towards Liangzhou. The barrier? Chun Sanxi ascended to the top of Cloud Tower. Witnessing firsthand the whole process of the crimson blood mist enveloping Liangzhou, matters had become increasingly thorny. It seemed that the issues within the Luotian mountain range were difficult to resolve. The soldiers of Hongze camp looked around in confusion. Their families were still within the city. How could their thoughts not be in turmoil? Elder brother. Chao Ji ascended to Cloud Tower and came next to him. What should we do now? Chen Sansi did not answer. He too was waiting. Finally, in the midst of the blizzard, the intelligence brought by the blue bird. Reading the handwriting, it was personally written by fourth brother, Fang Qingyun. In the letter, Fang Qingyun, after communicating with his master, detailed the situation within the Luotian mountain range again. My sixth brother is in the city, and Father King is also in the city. Chao Ji saw it distinctly, his voice somewhat trembling. That means, after the blood sacrifice array ends, won't they all leave me? Prince Yen, you should read it in full. Chan Sansi reminded. After the slaughter vein revives, the cultivators of the ancient demon clan from the cultivation world will be able to roam the heavens and earth. By then it won't just be about the destruction of Liangzhou city. Right. I understand. In just 2 breaths, the expression on Chao Ji's face rapidly changed. Surprise, excitement, agitation, loss, and finally to solemnity. Elder brother, what should we do next? I have the map right here. He personally opened the map. After merging with General Elvi's forces, should we immediately head to Yu State? That might not be in time. Chun Sansi indicated for him to put away the map. Not in time. Chao Ji asked. Then, elder brother, do you have any better ideas? Let's wait until General Elvi arrives and then decide. Chun Sansi estimated that, at most, half a day more, Xuanwu Camp and White Tiger Camp should also arrive. He asked Chao Ji to help organize the troops first while he himself found a secluded place, picked up his long spear, and practiced. Martial Saint. As the situation grew more severe, he must break through to the Martial Saint realm before the final battle to gain a slight edge. This stand might likely face an immortal outright. Martial Saint realm. To turn mysterious phenomenon Gang Qi into true Qi, even if it meant reaching the peak of the first realm of Transcendence realm, going beyond that would be above Martial Saint. But how easy is this step? Even though Chan Sansi had supreme talent and the aid of spiritual grain, it wasn't something that could be achieved overnight. Normally, it would still need half a year, which was exactly 3 years after arriving in Liangzhou. The timeline set by his master back then. Cultivation technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Martial Saint. Progress. 20 out of 100. After marching, he would also carve out some time every day for practice. In real combat, his spear technique also improved, yet the progress was still merely 1/5. True martial pill. Now it seems if he wanted to speed up, he must concoct the true martial pill. Pill furnace, materials he had them all, but now there wasn't time. He had to act according to circumstances. Besides this, there were various spells. Ever since he knew his master had given him the spirit vein, he had been rushing to enhance them. Improvement in spells, compared to the speed of 5 elements decision, was much faster. Spell. Thick Earth Decision. Entry level. Progress. 200/500. Magic. 10,000 Swords Arrival. First rank. Progress. 258/1000. After Sword Chi skill had broken its limits, it transformed into 10,000 Swords Arrival. Not just spells. Chun Sansi also had some spoils of war obtained from the ends of the earth, a golden light flying knife, but only a first-rank low-grade magic tool, with an addition of 200 ghost vein arrows as his entire holdings. Spells and magic tools. Unless absolutely necessary, he would not use them, but now he had reached the brink of absolutely necessary. He calculated the time was almost right, then returned to the camp, and within the time of a tea brewing, his subordinate came to report that Xuanwu Camp and White Tiger Camp had arrived. Yu State. Li City Prefecture. This place was the gateway to Yu State, where the great battle abruptly commenced. Chapter 513. Defying orders at Huqiu Mountain, directly heading to Great Capital City _3. Su Wenkai had hurried to this location to take charge. Outside, it was an army of 150,000 barbarians, including 4 martial saints. In their hands, they only had over 30,000 men from 2 camps. There were also 2 martial saints urgently summoned. One named Fan Hailing. He was his old partner during the initial attack on Wei Country. The other, Pei Tiannan, was the former governor of Liangzhou, also an acquaintance. 2 martial saints, over 30,000 men. The disparity in military strength was immense. Furthermore, an unusual heavy snowfall. Relying on the fortified Li City Prefecture, they could barely hold on at first. Until this day, in the chaotic siege, from the edge of the sky, a person soared through the air with a sword. This battle, it couldn't be fought. Even if Su Wenkai was an ingenious strategist, he was ultimately just a true scholar. What could he do under brute force? Fortunately, he discovered that the martial saints had some fighting power in the presence of immortals. So they still managed to hold on desperately, not immediately falling to a fate of city breached and people dead. Master Su, what should we do? The usually smiling Pei Tiannan now wore a grave face. I think they are crazy. Fan Hailing slammed the table heavily. Coming to attack you state. What are they after? Indeed. Pei Tiannan continued. And looking at their movements, even if they take Li City Prefecture, we still have Green Lake Prefecture and Jian Prefecture to the east, and it's impossible to annex the entire territory of Yu State in a short period. Should we not retreat first? Retreat! Su Wenkai waved his feather fan, announcing the retreat. He understood the principle that abnormal behavior must have a demon, knowing that the unusual military deployment of the barbarians must have a clue hidden within, but there was no alternative. To continue defending would only lead to the annihilation of the whole army after the city was breached. The plan for now was to retreat from Li City Prefecture and then defend the other two prefectures, waiting for reinforcements, leaving 2,000 decoys behind. The rest of the men retreated overnight to the interior of Green Lake Prefecture. Also, on that day, the unusual phenomenon in the Luotian mountain range shocked the northern territory. What kind of sorcery is this? It's like a fierce beast, swallowing Liangzhou entirely. The first piece of news they got was that this was a blood sacrifice array, and soon after, it would refine tens of thousands of lives within Liangzhou city. And after entering Yu State, as they expected, the barbarian army did not continue to attack Yu State, but turned their troops toward Zhu Tuo Pass, guarding the auxiliary array I, also known as Liangzhou's only life gate. Barbarians. They can cooperate with immortals? Fan Hailing spoke unsteadily. This is to devour my entire dashing. And our reinforcements are gone. Pei Tiannan continued to read the intelligence. Only the 3 camps outside the Great Desert remain. 3 camps, altogether only 45,000 men, 1 martial saint at most. Fan Hailing worriedly said, comparatively, the barbarians, not to mention 4 martial saints, still have support from 2 immortal masters. The power disparity remains immense. Speak quickly. Su Wenkai urged. Which 3 camps? Black Tortoise, White Tiger. Pei Tiannan paused. And Hongza. Hongza. Upon hearing this, Su Wenkai remained composed on the surface, but his heart, which had been in suspense, finally had a glimmer of hope. Wait, Pei Tiannan said gravely. It's impossible for the troops from other places to arrive in time. We can only wait for General Liu to come with his troops to support us. Luotian Mountain Range. Sun Xiangzong and Emperor Longqing were here, forming a standoff with the Wushan sect leader and others to prevent them from leaving easily or causing trouble elsewhere. Hidden within a boundary, Deng Immortal had a black talisman appear before him. This was a sound transmission talisman. Once activated, it could send messages across thousands of miles. Even in the cultivation world, it was considered a precious item. After exchanging messages with the high priest of the Wushan sect, Deng Immortal revealed a sinister smile. Sun Xiangzong, how about a deal? Let the 2 of us leave Liangzhou, and I will spare your descendants, saving your son and daughter from this place. Don't rush to refuse. The blood sacrifice of Liangzhou is a done deal. Originally, if you could destroy the auxiliary eye on the east side of Liangzhou, opening a life gate, you could still save a small part of Liangzhou's people. But now, even Zhu Tuo Pass in Yu State has been taken, you no longer have any way to escape. Across from them, the soldiers of Liangzhou city had gathered, setting up tents for Sun Xiangzong and the emperor to rest, while also promptly passing on intelligence. Mr. Ho, the supervisor of Liangzhou, was also there. He originated from the palace, one of the emperor's confidants. Otherwise, he would not have been assigned to such a critical position as the supervisor of Liangzhou. Forget it. Mr. Ho spoke on behalf of the emperor and the lord governor. Don't even think about leaving. To the side, there were Xiao Yujing and Wenji, Wushan sect's scourge. Wenji's eyes were bloodshot, holding double swords. Even if not one in Liangzhou is left, I must perish together with you, to avenge my son and disciples. Being controlled. He had personally killed many of his disciples and his own son. Such a heavy blow. That he had not gone completely mad by now was already a testament to his strong mental resilience. You scourges, you haven't won yet. Mr. Ho threw the battle report in front of them. In Liangzhou outside the city, we still have 3 camps. This life gate might not be impossible to open. The Wushan sect leader scoffed, not bothering to look. Inside the tent. Who would have thought Yu State would be breached so quickly? Emperor Longqing sat cross-legged on a cushion. Send another letter to Huqiu Mountain, instructing Lu Ji and Shan Sansi to immediately devise a plan to attack Yu State, leaving no room for error. Huqiu Mountain. Big Senior Brother. Third Senior Brother. Chapter 514. Defying orders at Huqiu Mountain, directly heading to Great Capital City _4. Chun Sansi personally went to Li from camp to welcome him. Junior Brother. Lu Ji did not engage in small talk. The situation is urgent. I just received an urgent report from Yu State. Let's you and I go to the Central Army tent to discuss a plan straight away. Inside the Central Army tent, maps and sand tables were all in place. Lu Ji quickly recapped the current situation. As of now, Yu State has fallen, and the barbarian hordes have been arriving at Li City Prefecture in succession, rushing towards Zhu Tuo Pass, guarding the only life gate of Liangzhou. Given our encounter, you and I, brothers, should set off for Yu State immediately. 3 camps, 45,000 men. I will take the main force and you will assist with our combined efforts 45,000 men. It is not necessarily impossible to take down Jutua Pass and destroy the array I outside the Luotian mountain range. Yes, my younger junior brother. Let's not delay any further. Let's set out. Nye Yuan said and, seeing the white robe unmoved, asked, What's the matter, junior brother? Do you have other plans? Two senior brothers. Chun Sansi disagreed. We cannot act in such a manner. Oh, Lu Ji nodded slightly. Share your thoughts. If you state had not yet fallen, the arrangement of the eldest senior brother would have been without fault, and we should indeed set off for you state immediately, but as the barbarian army has entered in full force, we decidedly cannot do so, Chan Sansi said, maintaining a respectful tone toward his senior brothers and calmly explaining. Senior brothers, Li City Prefecture is easy to defend but difficult to attack. Zhu Tua Pass itself is not significant, but its strategic location is formidable and, once manned, can hold off a myriad of foes. In the face of the enemy army's occupation, a forceful attack is likely to require a great deal of effort. Lu Ji spoke solemnly. I shall use my strength to break through it. Eldest senior brother's bravery is well known, and I also believe that given time, you would be able to take Zhu Tua Pass, but let's not forget, what we lack the most right now is time, said Chan Sansi as he lifted the tent flap, looking towards the blood mist above the distant heavenly dome. This blood sacrifice array operates daily, and it could be completed at any moment. Hence the barbarians at Zhu Tua Pass do not need to defeat us. They just need to delay the time. The younger junior brother makes some sense. Lu Ji calmly asked, I understand what you're saying, but given the current situation, aside from attacking Zhu Tua Pass, we probably don't have a better strategy. This crisis in Liangzhou is essentially a death trap. To break this trap, we can only do it by force. To put it plainly, it's a bet, staking our lives on it. Well said, eldest senior brother, Chun Sansi affirmed. But since it's a gamble, why not gamble even bigger? Even bigger? Nye Yuan, somewhat puzzled, asked, What do you mean, junior brother? White Robe drew the Li Quan spear embedded in the ground, and with a flash of cold light, the tip of the blade pointed directly toward the edge of the sand table. The Yin Mountain Range, the barbarian capital, Langjuxu Mountain. Senior brothers, do not forget one thing. Zhu Tua Pass is just an auxiliary array I to the blood sacrifice array. Even if we destroy it and open a life gate, it is still within the mountains. Considering Liangzhou's vast territory and numerous inhabitants, how many people will be able to reach and pass through the life gate in time to leave Liangzhou? On the other hand, if we destroy the last main array I atop Langjuxu Mountain, the blood sacrifice array will collapse immediately. At these words, the inside of the tent fell into deathly silence. This included Chu Shixiang, Chao Ji, and the generals of the various camps who could hardly believe their own ears. Could this be another direct strike at Mei Mountain, like in the campaign of Ming State? But times have changed. This would be against the barbarian capital. Not to mention the great distance, there were innumerable perils along the way. Most critically, they would be a lone army. A lone army, intending to strike directly at the enemy's capital city, was practically unimaginable. You mean to strike directly at the barbarian heavenly capital? Nye Yuan could not comprehend. Junior brother, this is not just bold, it might be a bit of wishful thinking, don't you think? The others felt the same. Junior brother, I'm not dismissing your strategy. Lu Ji pointed at the sand table and countered. Do you realize that we are a good 10,000 li away from the barbarian capital? Do you realize the 4 tribes of the barbarians have formed an alliance with more than 400,000 troops? The ones in Yu State are only part of them, with over 200,000 still observing from various places across the Great Desert. Do you realize we have only 40,000 men and moreover,
No se place.
if we don't quickly make it to Yu State, we will run out of provisions? Do you realize near the great capital there might also be immortals defending? Considering all the above, isn't heading to the barbarian capital an even bigger waste of time compared to going to Yu State? However, even though he laid out 4 clear points of contention, Chun Sansi still insisted. No, it will certainly be faster. Lu Ji and Chun Sansi locked gazes. The interior of the tent fell into silence. Chao Ji, who had been quietly eating at the side, perked up with interest at the scene. Eldest senior brother, younger junior brother. Nye Yuan saw the tension and promptly meditated. We're just discussing matters. Let's not harm our camaraderie. After the exchange of glances, Lu Ji and Chun Sansi stopped the argument and smiled at each other. Junior brother junior brother. Lu Ji spoke gravely. It seems we cannot persuade one another. Do not blame your senior brother. Chun Sansi replied. I truly believe so. Currently, our ranks in the army are equal, and neither can command the other. Lu Ji said, In that case, let us prepare the troops. I estimate the imperial edict will arrive shortly, and we can make a decision then, all right? Chun Sansi could not refuse. More than 40,000 soldiers from the 3 camps were neatly arranged near Huqiu Mountain, awaiting military orders from Liangzhou City. Chapter 515. Defying orders at Huqiu Mountain, heading straight for Great Capital City _5. About 2 hours later. Chirp! Accompanied by a piercing eagle scream, a golden divine eagle sliced through the sky, braving the vast snowstorm to arrive above Huqiu Mountain. This divine eagle was the Holy Emperor's cherished pet. The divine eagle landed next to Ji, who opened the case, extracted the sacred decree inside, and immediately passed it to his side. Take a look, junior brother. His Majesty's decree commands us to set off for you state immediately, without any delay. Chun Sansi silently looked at the decree, not uttering a word for a long while. We can't waste any more time. Let's set off. Ji issued the order. The army was about to head out, straight for you state. Seeing their general motionless, the soldiers of the Hongza camp could only follow suit. Boom! Just at that moment, the heavenly dome trembled. But looking in the direction of Liangzhou, the blood sacrifice array began to accelerate its operation, with plumes of blood mist rising from it, turning the entire sky crimson red. And it was upon seeing this scene that the white-robed general on the white horse suddenly raised his long spear high, and with a voice loud as divine thunder, proclaimed, Hongza camp, heed my command. Change direction, follow me, and head straight for the barbarian capital. This military order drowned out the heavy snow, the raging winds, and clearly echoed through the minds of every single one of the 45,000 soldiers at Huqiu Mountain. Hongza camp, heed my command. Su Bin was the first to draw his sword and echo the response. Next were his fellow brothers from Payong. For them, their minds only held the military order. If the general said the army was to rush somewhere, they just charged forward without question. Moreover, in their eyes, there was nothing impossible about a battle led by their general. From Payong to the Battle of Hulaguin, when had it not seemed impossible to outsiders? And yet, when had they not achieved it? This time would be no exception. If the general said to strike at the barbarian capital, it meant they could. With their influence, the vast majority of the soldiers followed suit. Hongza camp, heed my command. Unlike the assistant generals, these low-ranking military officers and array soldiers were from various places, assembled in the Bailiang army's Hongza camp, but given their lower status, they had more contact with the general and obeyed the military order. Moreover, the white-robed general wasn't trying to do something else, but to lead them to victory, to the rescue of Liangzhou city, saving millions of people including the Holy Emperor, as well as their families. In the time before, the fame accumulated from victory after victory transformed into authority at this moment, an authority that could stabilize the morale and control the army. And moreover, they did not merely hear of the white robe's prowess, they had witnessed it with their own eyes. Right there, at Huqiu Mountain, in this fortification constructed by the barbarians. 800 men slaughtered 10,000 enemies in one night. To this very moment, the corpses of the enemy lay buried in the snow, ice sculptures in human form scattered everywhere. Wasn't that proof enough? General Chun stated how this battle was to be fought. He must have had a strategy in mind. To follow the order was the right thing to do. Hongza camp, heed my command. Then came the likes of Xiao Zheng and Xiaozong, who had long followed Chen San. They were witnesses from Lai State who had seen thousands avoid the white robe, and participants in the battle outside Hulaguin where 3,000 had routed an army of 100,000, already utterly convinced by General Chen's command. Driven by the atmosphere, they too expressed their willingness to follow the order. Have you gone mad? Chu Shixiang, the deputy general of Hongza camp, looked at the excited faces of his brothers, momentarily at a loss. Junior brother? Ji had not expected this turn of events, riding over on his fire horse. What is this? The imperial edict has already been issued. Eldest brother, it's not that I am unwilling to obey, but that I cannot. Chan Sansi clasped his hands. Look to the direction of Liang. Who knows when the blood sacrifice array will be complete? Even if we were to break through Zhu Tuo Pass and open a life gate just before the array's completion, that can't stop the ritual. It only leaves a brief time for people to evacuate. How many can survive? So what? Ji said with conviction. Junior brother, you must understand. The Holy Emperor is now in Liangzhou city. Master is there as well, along with nearly 100,000 troops. As long as we open the life gate, at least Master, His Majesty, Sister Sun Li, and Brother Sun Buki will survive. Whatever number of fellow brothers and civilians that can be saved is how many can be saved. Isn't that the safest method? Eldest brother, trust me. I'm not being reckless. Going to Zhu Tuo Pass, I have only 50% certainty, but going to the barbarian capital, I have over 70%, and if you join me, there's over 80%. Chun Sansi assertively said, if I weren't somewhat certain, why would I insist on this course of action? He looked at the silent Ji, knowing their thoughts completely differed, so he did not press further. Depart, with a fierce command. Hongza camp, heed my command. This time, the 15,000 soldiers of Hongza camp cried out in unison, shaking heaven and earth, swaying the snowy landscape. Subsequently, mounts robust and strong bore the neatly arrayed soldiers in armor, heading into the boundless expanse of the northern Great Desert. General Chu, don't hesitate. Xiaozong urged, hurry and follow the army's departure. This is insubordination. Chu Shixiang warned. Have you all lost your minds? The imperial edict clearly states we are to lead the troops to you state, not head northward, and certainly not to some barbarian capital thousands of miles away. The soldiers below might not be individually punished due to their numbers. But he was the deputy general. One of the deputy general's responsibilities was to check and balance the main general, ensuring compliance with the court's commands, preventing mishaps. Chapter 516. Defying orders at Huqiu Mountain, directly heading to Great Capital City _6. After such a scene, could this be tolerated? General Chu, in this world, is there anyone more loyal than General Chun? Xia Tsong seriously said. General Chun was personally promoted by His Majesty. And the previous battles, when didn't he take command in dangerous times, alleviating the court and His Majesty of troubles? Right? And on Ziwei Mountain, when the assassins attempted assassination, General Chun risked his life to shield His Majesty from the blades. On the night of great chaos, it was General Chun who led us, the 3,000 black armors, into the hall to protect His Majesty. Even on the battlefield, I have never seen General Chun wounded. Yet that night General Chun had countless injuries on him, enduring I don't know how many cuts and stabs, covered in blood. Despite that, he still desperately protected His Majesty's safety. These are all things I witnessed with my own eyes. Can there be any falsehood? Assistant General Xia is right. Xiao Zhang also said, General Chun today did not disobey deliberately. Clearly, he believed that by doing so, he could better rescue His Majesty from the crisis in Liangzhou. Didn't the general say? Following his plan, there's an 80% chance to save His Majesty, while following General LV, there's only 50%. Yu Jike said, I choose to believe in the general. All right. Chu Shixiang himself had no conflicts with Chen Sansi. He highly respected this white-robed general, and having believed that the general only aimed to protect His Majesty better, he found no reason to refuse anymore and immediately agreed, bringing his confidants along to follow the troops ahead. Junior brother, Nieyuan, riding a fast horse, caught up. This is an imperial decree, you're defying His Majesty's command. Think it over carefully. Moreover, taking down the barbarian capital is far more perilous than heading to Zhu Tuo Pass. Any slight error could lead to irreversible disaster. Junior sister. Right, junior sister Sun Li is waiting for your return to get married. I'm still waiting to attend your wedding. Brother, it's the same words. I, your junior brother, am certainly not a reckless man seeking glory, but based on my analysis, I truly believe this course has a higher chance of success. As a commander, shouldn't one adhere to their convictions and choose the strategy with greater prospects of victory? Chan Sansi spoke deliberately. As for defying orders, when the general is abroad, military orders may not always be adhered to. After all, His Majesty is trapped inside Liangzhou City, and many situations are unclear to him. Later, I will write to His Majesty to explain everything clearly. His Majesty, a rare wise ruler, will surely understand me. I will also help explain and share the consequences with General Chun. In the midst of this discussion, at the back of the line, Chao Ji, who had come over at some unknown time, flirted a brow at the white robe and, placing a hand near his mouth, whispered, Big brother, my life and fortune are in your hands. Seeing that persuasion was useless, Nieyuan, the third senior brother, had no choice but to give up, watching helplessly as Hengzi camp gradually vanished from sight at the border. Enough! Sitting high on his horse, Lu Ji said, The junior brother is not the martial saint and furthermore, there are not many in Hengzi camp. Attacking Zhu Tuo Pass without him won't make much difference. Let him go. Yes, General. An assistant general from Black Tortoise camp said, This battle, precisely the one where the general truly makes a name for himself. If relying on the two camps we can resolve the crisis in Liangzhou, and leveraging your many years of accumulated prestige, you will undoubtedly win over the entire Bailiang army's loyalty naturally, taking on the supervisor's mantle. That Chun Sansi is just the person the commander most recently took in as a disciple, and yet these past few years he's been gaining prominence. Recently some old generals were privately discussing who would succeed the supervisor's position, with some actually ranking him even before you, General. This time, it's the perfect opportunity for them to see clearly. It wasn't only Chun Sansi who had deeply loyal followers. Lu Ji, after years of campaigning, had similarly numerous loyal generals and soldiers under him. Lu Ji coldly uttered two words, blathering. This subordinate deserves to die. The assistant general immediately began slapping his own face, withdrawing afterward. Actually, he's right. The third senior brother, Nieyuan, slowly said, Some matters, it's not just up to the master alone. It's not about who he wants to pass the mantle to, and everyone just accepts it. Big brother, you are the eldest disciple, and most people are indeed more convinced by you. After this battle, it's as if you have secured a great merit, with His Majesty appointing you as the supervisor being almost certain. Furthermore, this little junior brother, since joining the army, has never tasted defeat. It's about time he took a fall to reflect. Just hope he doesn't die deep in the great desert. No need for further words. Let's set out. Lu Ji spurred his horse, leading the army to march forth. Liangzhou City, after the boundary appeared, to get the news at the earliest. The sixth prince, Chao Huan, not hesitating to risk himself, stayed in a tent near the Great Wall. He watched the boundary, pacing back and forth anxiously. You state. I hope General LV and his troops can reach you state quickly. Mr. Su and the others have done well. not stubbornly holding their ground but preserving their strength. Once the forces from both sides converge, facing the barbarians' 150,000 troops, they should stand a chance in battle. The court is also dispatching troops and generals from all around, only hoping that the array can be destroyed soon. Fang Qingyun, Cheng Wei, Zhao Wuji, and others were all present here. Indeed, Zhao Wuji was also anxious. I don't know where they are now. Who? In the midst of their discussion, an arrow carrying intelligence landed at the edge of the boundary. It was immediately retrieved. It should be in time, it should be in time. Chao Huan composed himself and opened the intelligence. But the next moment he froze. Your Highness, Assistant General Cheng Wei asked, what happened now? Are other tribes near Huqiu Mountain intercepting? Or did they encounter an ambush on the way? Neither. Chao Huan's voice trembled slightly. Chun Sansi defied orders. He didn't go to use state. Instead, he led Hengze camp north, claiming he'd strike directly at the barbarian capital thousands of miles away. Chapter 517. Fighting with one's back to the river. What? At Huqiu Mountain, 800 defeated 10,000. Chao Huan thought he had gotten used to Chun Sansi's startling command style, only to find no one could really get used to it. Disobedience. This was disobedience. And it was disobedience against an imperial decree. How dare he? Cough, cough. Cheng Wei, his second senior brother, said, Your Highness, please stay calm. My junior brother undertook this mission to resolve the crisis in Liangzhou, to save the emperor himself. It's definitely not intentional disobedience. And besides, he didn't divide his forces by much. I too have some understanding of military strategy. Chao Huan anxiously said, setting aside his disobedience for now, did you see what he is planning to do? He is heading north, deep into the northern desert, straight for Mei Mountain, great capital, more than 10,000 li.
No se place.
Above the great desert, where over 200,000 troops were scattered, just the known Agate River held a martial saint. Inside the great capital there might also be the high echelons of the witch god sect, perhaps even an immortal master. In these circumstances unfavorable to their side. He was leading 15,000 men to attack the barbarian capital, thousands of miles away. This was no longer an implausible fantasy. It was downright calamitous news. Even if he could do it, how much time would it cost? How could it possibly be faster than attacking you state? Quick, Chao Huan urgently said. Bring the gold medal and stop him for me. It's too late, Your Highness. His subordinate reported. General Liu and his forces didn't dare delay. They've already rushed toward you state overnight, and General Chen's forces, I fear, have also already moved hundreds of li north. What should we do? Chao Huan clapped his hands. General Fang, tell me, what should we do? The lives of millions in Liangzhou City. Can we afford to take such a great risk? Because there are tens of thousands of lives, it is worth the risk. Fang Qingyun, who was in a wheelchair, coughed twice. Your Highness, the situation has already reached this point. There's no use worrying now, and actually, the situation is not as dire as you think. First of all, General Chun must have had his reasons. He's not just willfully reckless. I believe no one would doubt that. The emotions of Chao Huan gradually calmed down. It was the same for the other veterans. Each instance of their great victories, naturally, was in their hearts. But, looking solely at this instance, General Chun is still somewhat young. When it comes to siege warfare, General Liu is the strong suit. Following him to U-State was actually the best choice. Even if he had some thoughts, there were elements of show-off. Still young, a bit impetuous. All right, assuming what you said isn't wrong. Fang Qingyun continued. Isn't General Liu still in U-State? With Su 1-size-2 camp soldiers and various other reinforcements going there, having one more Hengze camp or one less doesn't make much difference. If that's the case then, why don't we simply allocate a camp of soldiers to hold onto a bit more hope? Why put all our bets on U-State? After these words were spoken, Chao Huan was no longer angry. Forget it. He waved his sleeve. Now that things have come to this point, whatever I say is useless. Let it be. If anything unexpected occurs, we can punish him then. The fear is that, with millions of souls in Liangzhou being sacrificed, he would have no way to survive in the Great Desert. Luotian Mountain Range. Inside the tent, Emperor Longqing. Just before a moment of tea, he had finished reading the battle report from the front. Outside Huqiu Mountain, the forces split into two directions. Hengze camp was heading north. Cao Kai was dissatisfied with such risky actions. But he was even more dissatisfied with disobedience. Chun Sansi had disobeyed. Your Majesty, please calm your anger. Mr. Ho hastily said. General Chun did it also for the sake of thousands of lives. I sent him to U-State. Emperor Longqing's face was expressionless. Mr. Ho kneeled to the ground. Report. Urgent message from General Chun has arrived. Bring it here. Emperor Longqing personally received the urgent message, opened it, and after reading, his expression remained solemn. Mr. Ho, you take a look too. Yes. Mr. Ho took the letter with both hands and scrutinized it carefully, soon breaking into a smile. Your Majesty. Look, Mr. Chun stated it clearly. He is desperate to protect you, willing to resign from his office and relinquish his title after the battle is over. He also said that your Majesty is an unprecedented emperor, a wise monarch for all ages, who understands the rapidly changing nature of the battlefield, that commanders may not always follow orders, and if your Majesty were at Huqiu Mountain, you might even take the field yourself and rush to Langjutsu Mountain. Your Majesty, Mr. Chen's words are earnest and sincere. It is apparent that his disobedience was a reluctant necessity, given the urgent situation at hand. He has praised me excessively, making it difficult for me to punish him. The voice of Chao Kai was calm, barely revealing any emotion. Mr. Ho, how do you find Chun Sansi's military strategy? This, Mr. Ho frankly said, I fear it holds more danger than fortune. If he truly dies in the northern desert, I could forgive his disobedience and posthumously reward him. Emperor Longqing looked towards the direction of Yu State. Send orders to Gigi to capture Zhu Tua Pass at all costs. Yes. After the eunuch had left, Chao Kai slowly rose from his seat, stepped outside the tent to where Sun Xiangzong was meditating and healing, and dropped the intelligence and urgent message before him. Take a look, your esteemed disciple. Sun Xiangzong opened his eyes, glanced at it briefly, then paid no further attention. Such audacity, he boasted to me about capturing the great Khan of the 4 barbarian tribes alive, claiming that thereafter there would no longer be barbarians causing trouble in the northern desert. He has already led the Hongzhe camp northward. Emperor Longqing overlooked the old man. He probably does not know that there are cultivators on Langjutsu Mountain. What can he achieve with his mysterious phenomenon great success capabilities? This mission is likely more perilous than not. I am about to lose a general, and you a beloved disciple. Chapter 518. Fighting with one's back to the river _2. You state. How long until the reinforcements arrive? Fan Hailing paced back and forth on the city wall, dragging a long saber, which made a grating noise. General Fan, Pei Tiannan, unable to bear it anymore, said, Can't you stay quiet for a while? How can I stay quiet? Fan Hailing pointed towards the Luotian mountain range. Watching the barbarian armies continuously station themselves, if they refine Liangzhou next, won't we be next? Those flying demons in the sky have said they want to refine us all into elixir pills. Those who assisted the barbarians were definitely not real immortals, because from a distance, one could feel the bloodlust and evil chi from them, heavier than that of seasoned warriors like themselves. Moreover, beneath the black robes of the immortals, every face was covered with vine-like purplish-red veins. They were clearly demons. Your worrying is useless, Pei Tiannan said. Moreover, counting the days, the reinforcements from Huqiu Mountain have already set off. Look! He pointed at the High Dongxing appearing in sight. A message has arrived. Fan Hailing whistled to call the High Dongxing down and hurriedly tore open the letter to read its content. General Fan, how are things? I told you there's no need to be too anxious. Pei Tiannan asked. After the 3 camps arrive in Yu State, along with our own 2 camps, that makes nearly 80,000 soldiers. With General Liu and General Chun here, if we unite and fight to the death, we can still seize a sliver of hope. It's gone. General Chun is gone. Realizing the ambiguity in his words, Fan Hailing quickly clarified. Hongzhe camp isn't coming. Not coming. Pei Tiannan couldn't sit still, asking urgently. If not coming to Yu State, where else could they go? Northern Desert. Fan Hailing's hand trembled as he held the letter. General Chun has led Hongzhe camp to march directly to the northern desert. It seems he's aiming for a direct assault on the barbarian capital and aims to destroy Langjutsu Mountain. Behind them was the watchtower. Su Wenkai, previously resting inside, couldn't contain himself any longer and walked out holding a feather fan. He didn't speak. Instead, he took the letter and read it through once again. The barbarian capital, if I remember correctly, is 10,000 li away from Huqiu Mountain, right? And from Liangzhou to Yu State is only 4,000 li. Why divert an extra 6,000 li? This would only waste more time, and the difficulty of attacking the capital is only going to be greater, right? Pei Tiannan spoke with some hesitation. This, what kind of tactic is this? Mr. Su, what do you think? The map. Su Wenkai ordered. Bring the map quickly, General Fan. Repeat the route mentioned in the letter to me again. The subordinates brought the map. Fan Hailing also repeated the information. Mr. Su, just talking about their current position, say no more. Just a few hundred li ahead there's a barbarian checkpoint which is nearly impossible to pass quickly. Based on the route of Hongzhe camp, Su one-size feather fan eventually stopped near a large river. The Agate River. Here. This is the massive challenge General Chun will soon face. Pei Tiannan frowned as he spoke. The area around the Agate River has fertile pastures and has always been an important pass for the Yuan tribe. If I remember correctly, there are currently at least 40 to 50,000 soldiers stationed there. The 4 sage kings of Yuan, Yu Wenjingwen is here, and he is a martial saint. The military power, combat capability are both far superior to General Chen. His only option is to waste time by detouring. If he lingers too long, He will be surrounded by armies from all sides and then his entire army will be wiped out. This General Chun has always liked taking risks. Fan Hailing said. This time, he is going to suffer a major setback. Mr.
Su,
Pei Tianen asked, what is your opinion? This man is arrogant. He deserves such a major defeat, Su Wenkai stated, raising his eyebrows. But in his heart, he felt more relieved once again. The way the adults were acting indicated there was still hope. Liangzhou still had hope. Agate River. Yuan Great Village. Uncle 4. Prince Yuanxin, sword slung at his waist and carrying a dusting of snowflakes, stepped out of the large tent. News from the front has come back. Yu Wenjingwen calmly said. They should have all gone to Yu State by now, right? They did go, but it seems not everyone went. Yu Wenxin pointed at the letter. We have a few tribes on the eastern side of Huqiu Mountain. Using the terrain, they monitored Shang people's movements and indeed spotted a large army heading to the front line of Yu State. But the numbers don't amount to 3 camps. It's roughly only 2 camps, led by Lu Ji. That damn Chen Sansi and his Hongzhe camp have disappeared. Disappeared. Yu Wenjingwen, considering this very important, stood up and went to the sand table. Uncle 4. Yu Wenxin, puzzled, said. After they left Huqiu Mountain, currently, there are only 2 paths they could take. Either towards the western Yen state, which isn't controlled by the blood sacrifice array. Simply put, it's a retreat. But I believe, given Chen's temperament, he wouldn't likely cowardly flee. Or, only heading north. They neither have enough soldiers, nor a martial saint, nor supplies, nor time. Why would they do this? My nephew analyzed it well, Yu Wenjingwen said. But we can't underestimate the enemy. Let's assume they're heading north for now. Instruct the tribes to be on alert, and keep a close watch on Hongzhe camp's movements. Report back to me immediately at any sign. The Great Desert. A gale. A blizzard. A cavalry troop advanced amidst the severe extreme weather. Brother, Chao Ji, following at his side, his face covered in frost, said, I have a question I'd like to ask you. Chun Sansi responded indifferently. Ask. Chao Ji, draped in a marten fur cloak, also rode a precious exotic beast warhorse. General Lu's 4 questions earlier. You haven't answered yet. Could you clear up the confusion for your little brother? Chapter 519. Fighting with one's back to the river _3. For questions. They were simply about the long journey, the numerous barbarian forces, the possible presence of an immortal master at Great Capital, and the lack of logistical support. The march was tedious, yet Chun Sansi did not refuse. He slowly said, First, though the journey spans 10,000 miles, we do not need to attack cities or fortresses, so it only seems long on the surface. If we consider the time spent attacking various cities in Yu State, it is actually about the same. Second, although the barbarian forces are numerous, they are spread across the Great Desert and take time to mobilize. As long as we keep moving, it's hard for them to encircle us. Third, whether it's the Witch God sect or the monsters, not only are they in Langjuxu Mountain, but Yu State will also have its share. It's the same no matter where we fight. You really have thought this through, big brother. Chaoji nodded and then asked, what about the most critical issue? The supplies? Liangzhou is under siege, and heavy snow blocks the roads. Even if supplies are dispatched from Yen State, they simply cannot keep up with the speed of an army operating deep in isolation. We are truly an isolated force. When Black Tortoise Camp split its forces earlier, it only took 10 days' worth of dry food and fodder for the horses, and now our supplies are nearly depleted. If this continues, we might end up eating snow. He had only been with Hongzhe Camp for a few days. Yet he recognized it. This was a true tiger and wolf troops. Even in such harsh conditions, they managed to maintain perfect order. But even the fiercest tiger and wolf troops need food to fill their bellies. Well asked. Buzz. Chun Sansi's Li Quan spear suddenly appeared in his hand, pointing into the wind and snow ahead, a vaguely emerging fortress. Your Highness, do you see what this is? A barbarian fortress. Chao Ji tossed some jerky into his mouth. 15,000 cavalry and infantry, 2 commanders. Not wanting to slow you down, big brother, I made sure to memorize all the intelligence available before coming.
No.
Chun Sansi's voice boomed like thunder. Wherever the enemy is, that is our granary. Fengshuang City. It's called a city, but it actually doesn't have any walls. It's more like a small town, primarily serving as a trading center for various barbarian tribes within 1,000 miles. The station troops here also number 15,000, jointly managed by the Duan clan and the Murong clan. The main general is a member of the imperial family from the Duan clan, named Duanje, at the Great Achievement Realm. His position within the clan was neither high nor low. Unable to reach the core elite, he had actively chosen to be stationed here, both to avoid disputes and to easily reap rewards. What a pity. Soon, my heavenly clan will take over the central plains, and then this Fengshuang city won't be worth much. Duanje was reflecting when his subordinate delivered some intelligence. General, a letter from the 4 Sage Kings. Him, Duanje said nonchalantly. Sending me a letter when there's nothing to do? The frontline warfare doesn't require me. Could it be that the Shang people are attacking? He opened the letter. Suddenly, his expression turned grave. General, Deputy General Morong Chao asked, "What's happened? You must know about that Chun white robe who has made a big name for himself these past 2 years?" After reading the letter, Duanja threw it into the charcoal basin to burn to ashes. "He's headed towards the northern desert. You and the fourth said he might appear near us, and instructed us to be very cautious." "What?" Morong Chao was stunned. "Liangzhou blood sacrifice. Roads sealed by heavy snow, and he still dares to come to the northern desert?" "Report. 20 miles outside the city. An unknown number of enemy troops advancing. Main general unknown. They really came?" Morong Chao was not afraid, but calmly analyzed. "It must be Chun Sansi. His Hongza camp has 15,000 people, and we also have 15,000, both with 2 at the Great Achievement Realm. What is there to fear? We just need to hold on for a few days, and nearby tribes will send reinforcements. It's the perfect time for us to achieve a significant feat." He and Duanja were different. He hadn't come here voluntarily, but was pushed out, always longing to make a name for himself. "Pass my general's order." Morong Chao raised his sword. "Morong troops assemble. March to the outskirts of the city in formation, and prepare for a decisive battle with the Shang people." He and Duanja nominally had a main and deputy relationship, but in reality, neither controlled the other, each commanding half of the troops here. "General Duan, what are you waiting for?" Morong Chao urged. "Go rally your troops. Don't miss the opportunity for battle. Mr. Chun dares to penetrate deeply into this area alone. He's practically seeking death." "Well said, he's indeed seeking death," Duanja readily agreed. "You go form up outside the city first. I'll fetch my weapons. Then gather the troops, and join you to advance or retreat together, for life or death." "Good." Morong Chao, holding his long sword, charged out of the city. In the vast snowstorm, Morong Chao sat astride his horse, with a large army of over 7,000 men in tight formation behind him. And in front of them, through the blurry vision obscured by the snowstorm, one could see a vast expanse of whiteness, with a sudden black mass spreading until it filled the road ahead. Thud, thud, thud. Accompanied by the thundering sound of war drums and roaring hooves, the black shadow passed through the curtain of snow, gradually revealing its true form. An immensely disciplined tiger and wolf troops. Even in such harsh conditions, they maintained a complex military formation. The place was already icy and snowy, but upon seeing this troop, the soldiers of the Morong forces felt an additional piercing cold that made their hairs stand on end. It was as though a steel beast was advancing across the vast land. Within the steel beast, a bright red flag fluttered in the fierce wind, emblazoned with a large Chun character. Chapter 520. Fighting with one's back to the river _4. General Chun Sansi's banner. The barbarian generals and soldiers within Fengshuang City had also heard of this famously menacing general, yet they were still in a state of confusion because nobody knew why this terrifying army had suddenly appeared deep in the northern desert. Thinking thus, they couldn't help feeling restless. "Brothers, do not be afraid. Kill this man and we shall revel in wealth and glory." Morong Chao looked back. "Where is General Duan? Why haven't his troops been assembled yet?" "Report. General, it's bad. General Duan. He has taken the people of the Duan clan and fled." "What did you say?" 5 miles away, Duanja, with his gold and silver treasures, took his troops and fled hastily. "Saying Chun Sansi is courting death? I think you are the one courting death." As he spoke, he spat on the ground, feeling that Morong Chao really had no brains. Not long before, General Chen's 800 light cavalry had stormed through the Yuan tribes of Huqiu Mountain, where there were 3 individuals with great success in mysterious phenomenon. The 2 of them couldn't defend anything, staying was purely a death sentence. Or rather, what use was there in fighting desperately? The blood sacrifice was about to be complete. Let Chun Sansi fuss all he wanted. The good days of the heavenly clan people were still to come. Dying at this time would be a huge loss. Better to conserve strength and seek refuge with another tribe nearby as a way out. That damn Duanja, truly a coward. Morong Chao cursed vehemently. "General," a subordinate asked in a trembling voice, "what should we do now? Without the Duan clan, we are only left with a little over 7,000 men. He, Chun Sansi, with 800, could kill 10,000, and I, Morong Chao, with 7,000, cannot kill 10,000? Morong Chao raised his long knife high. "Brothers, to the kill!" Buzz! Before he could finish, just 1 mile ahead, the snow curtain suddenly tore apart. It was a vermilion bird, melting the ice and snow, distorting the void, coming with a force as vast as the sea's Gangchi. Morong Chao roared, using the breathing skill and activating the 8 extraordinary meridians in his body to the extreme, unleashing all his skills. His battle knife transformed into a mad lion, neither dodging nor hiding, plunging towards the vermilion bird. Boom! The terrifying aftershock, like a tsunami, erupted from the center of Morong Chao, flinging dozens of soldiers into the air, and the area for several yards around exploded into a white expanse. When the snow mist cleared, the soldiers saw Morong Chao lying in the snow, barely alive, bleeding from all orifices, breathing out without breathing in, clearly not long for this world. One arrow almost claimed the life of their main general, and this arrow was from 1 mile away. Hongza camp. Charge! At the same time, the distant tiger and wolf troops shook heaven and earth as they suddenly increased their speed to charge. Their rolling evil chi almost melting the snow, flawlessly advancing towards them in combat. Retreat, retreat! The soldiers of the Murong tribe had no fighting spirit left, immediately plunging into endless chaos. Just the colliding and trampling among themselves resulted in countless deaths, until Hongza camp burst into the fray and unleashed a most bloody massacre. An hour later, Fengshuang City was then securely in their grasp. Slaughter the cows. Slaughter the sheep. Brothers, eat and drink as you please. After you have eaten your fill, open the storehouses, and take their dry food and jerky. If anyone's horse is frostbitten or has died of exhaustion, simply choose the strongest from their horses. Marching for a long time, many horses naturally could not withstand it. But the one thing the barbarians were never short of was war horses. Each tribe had a great number of fine horses. These horses were already trained. Moreover, with Chen Sun present, they could almost immediately be put to use. Supplies? The enemy army was the supply. This journey of more than 10,000 li, everywhere there were scattered tribes. How many martial saints were there? How many people could block his path? The mutton of the grassland was indeed out of the ordinary. In dashing, while there was chicken and pork as well as beef, only lamb was a rare item, priced more than double that of pork. For the soldiers, it was also a gluttonous feast, as during marches they had only dry food to eat, not to mention hot meals or meat. Inside a wooden cabin, Chun Sansi and a few subordinates sat around a campfire, discussing the path ahead. Sir, our current position is here. Xia Tsong pointed at the map, saying, according to the general's deployment, if we want to quickly reach the barbarian capital, we must cross the Agate River. But there is a great village on the Agate River. Chu Shixiang took over and said, just within the village alone, there are 40 to 50,000 soldiers. Once we cross the river, our movement will be hindered, and then nearby scattered tribes will quickly gather here. In a few days, they could muster a total of 100,000 soldiers. General Chun, what should we do? Easy to say. Chun Sansi casually said. Before they encircle us, why not just take down Prime Minister Yuan Jingwen's great village? This Yuan Jingwen is a martial saint, a renowned martial saint for many years. No one among us can match him. Chu Shixiang emphasized. Moreover, the 50,000 soldiers in the village are the elite of the Yuan tribe. How could we possibly take down the great village in a short time and leave there? General Chun, I am not doubting you. Chao Ji added, another thing you should be aware of, before this we also need to build a pontoon bridge to cross the Agate River, and then, there is no way back. This is a battle with our backs to the river. A frozen river doesn't ice over from just a day's cold. This heavy snow had come suddenly, but it had not lasted long enough to freeze the surface of the rapidly flowing Agate River sufficiently to bear a person's weight, let alone horses and weapons.